Welcome back to Bad Movies Rule, the worst movie podcast ever recorded. And I am Vice Counsel Hauser, the third consigliere of the Tetragrammatron, and you're all sense offenders. That was a lot of words. I don't know what I said, but it was a lot of words.
I heard sense offender.
Sense offender. It's really important.
Sense offender.
Sense. Not.
The other one?
Not.
No.
Yes.
When I was watching this with my wife 2 nights ago, and they arrest, I don't want to get too into it, but when they arrest his wife, she's like, did they just say sex offender? I was like, no.
No, my wife said the same thing. She said every time I hear sense offender, I think I hear sex offender.
Yeah.
I think it's just been implanted into our brains.
That must be. It's really close.
Maybe it was just a very genius parallelism by the writer to
Oh,
It was intentional.
look at you wanting to give him credit.
Using words like parallelogram.
Welcome to
Tetragrammaton.
That's right. Welcome to Bad Movies Rule, and we're here talking about Equilibrium this morning. And joining us is Mr. Kurt Mummer. Kurt, how are you, sir?
I'm good, sir. How are you today?
I'm great, man.
I'm excited to be here.
Are you excited to be here?
Oh, I am.
Because I got a text from you earlier this week that thought maybe you weren't going to be happy to be here.
I'm happy to be here. I'm always happy to join the BMR group.
Got it. Just not happy about what we had to watch.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Joining us again, first time since Escape from LA, I think we've got Ryan Farrell with us. Hi, Ryan.
Hi. How are you?
I'm fantastic, man. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You feeling good?
I'm feeling great.
You look great.
I was in a little bit of a rush to get here, but I figured if you guys had started the podcast, I could have just blasted through the door like John Preston.
Take the hinges off and just jump through.
Yeah, hit the light bulbs. Hit the light bulbs on the outside.
I think being in a rush this morning helped you.
Yeah.
Your eyes just seem alive today.
I'm always alive.
I appreciate that.
I'm alive with feeling.
All right.
So
that's why we have you here, buddy.
Yes.
And joining us for the first time ever, you might have heard a voice you didn't recognize. That's Ryan Madela. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are you nervous? Don't be nervous.
I don't understand. I have no feelings about this.
So wait a second. There's two Ryans on here.
We have 3 Ryans now.
Nice.
Yes.
So you got the tri-Rye effecta?
That's what I'm saying.
So Mueller's not here. So.
No, gosh, imagine if Ryan Mueller had been here. We might have opened up a portal into another dimension or something.
Tribunal.
The Ribunal.
the Ribunal. Oh, wow. Good one.
I guess it'd be Mueller's day off.
Right, we'd have to start calling them by their. Oh.
You're the kid in that class.
Yes. I got to get those in when I can. That wah-wah button gets used real much with me.
All right, well, let's talk about some of the vitals. Let's get those out of the way. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Equilibrium, could know a little bit about the movie. The movie came out in 2002. It was directed and written by Kurt Wimmer.
I'm sorry, what?
Kurt Mummer. Kurt Wimmer. I know it's not a lot of
It's
double
like
M.
an alternate universe.
This is what I'm saying.
With
Look,
a K.
just so you know, it's Kurt with a K.
So possibly there'd be the Wimmer Man somewhere.
I guess
Yes.
potentially there is.
Yes.
Wow.
I'll tell you what about Kurt Wimmer. Are you familiar with any of the other movies he's made?
Ultraviolet.
Ultraviolet was another Kurt Wimmer movie.
Law-abiding citizen, I believe.
Was it?
I think so.
Okay.
He wrote the screenplay for Law Abiding Citizen, but the movie itself was directed by F. Gary Gray.
Okay, but he wrote it.
Okay.
He's more of a screenwriter than a director.
I think I know why. I don't think they're going to let him. I don't think they're going to let him direct any more movies after Ultraviolet.
Look, when you first of all, why are we talking about Equilibrium and not Ultraviolet? Because
I'll tell you why in a minute. I was prepared for this question.
Okay. I'm actually glad you called this out because when I found out that he did Ultraviolet, I was like, what happened between Equilibrium and Ultraviolet? Because Ultraviolet, I remember watching that movie and just going, what?
He went full Wimmer. Somebody told him in the interim after Equilibrium, he had 2 people going, man, you're really good at this. And that caused his head to swell, and he went full Wimmer on Ultraviolet, and it wasn't a good idea.
oh man,
Full Wimmer.
You never do that.
never go full.
That to me, that was like somebody's like unchecked ego gone crazy.
Yeah, but sometimes it works out.
It does.
With, I mean, like, say, Grand Budapest Hotel with Wes Anderson. That's like Wes Anderson Unchained.
That's what happens when someone talented is unchained.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Django.
Right. I you can even say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is Tarantino.
Don't
Is Tarantinoist.
even get me started.
I know. I bring it up just because you're sitting here.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
jeez.
We'll get into this someday. Not today, but just so people at home know, Ryan Farrell hates Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Hate is a strong word.
Okay.
Severely disliked.
Okay.
And
All right.
thought that it was absolutely overrated and the weakest link of Tarantino's
All right.
career.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's not strong. at
No,
all.
that sounds like hate.
All right, so here's the thing with Kurt Wimmer. He's a nice enough guy. I've seen him interviewed. I'm gonna save that for later. I'll
He's
cut
a
that
dude.
part. He's a
He's
dude.
just
He's just a dude
that
in
makes
like a
movies.
baseball hat.
Yeah.
The movie starred Christian Bale, Sean Bean, Tay Diggs, Emily Watson, and Angus McFadden.
Angus McFadden?
Yeah, the guy from Braveheart, the dude that played
Robert the Bruce.
Robert the
I'd be
Bruce.
so
Thank you.
mad at me.
Robert the Bruce.
Yeah.
I've never seen Braveheart.
Wow.
Well, I just expect that from
I
you
know,
now.
I know.
You've never seen all the staples.
I know.
You've seen like what 15 movies?
Yes. Well, and all the ones that are on this one.
Well, 16 as of
I
today.
was big into animation as a kid.
Yeah.
So I that was my wheelhouse. Like
Bugs
that's
Bunny.
what I watched. Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
Exactly.
makes a lot.
I didn't have
Hey, Arnold.
I didn't have like a cool dad that was like, "Hey, watch this movie."
Cat Dog was his favorite.
Oh man, I love Cat Dog.
Your humor makes a lot more sense now.
Rocco's Modern Life.
I was just
Right.
gonna say.
Courage,
Yeah.
Cowardly Dog.
The budget for this movie
Stupid dog.
was $20 million. That's how much Equilibrium cost. And the box office was only $5.3 million. So that's check number one in its bona fides for being on Bad Movies Rule, is that it bombed.
Sure.
Okay.
But it profited.
Was this considered an action movie?
Internationally, yes, it profited.
And that's what's interesting is
Well,
Miramax
right.
didn't release it in the U.S. then.
Right, because they didn't want to turn a winner into a loser.
Right. Which
So
how
they
does that
had
work?
basically it's like this in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
When you sell to a distributor, so the production company that owned Equilibrium had already made so many pre-release sales to international distributors that they had already made their money back.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So at that point, the box office didn't even matter to the production company.
Which was dumb, because I feel like if they had released it, word of mouth would have picked up on this quickly and it would have been a success.
Especially when the front cover has the review, forget about the Matrix. Like,
Well,
okay.
okay, so Amazon's description says in the style of The Matrix and Minority Report. Minority Report's 2002, same year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Matrix
it is.
1999. But, and I don't want to say this because I love this movie, but it reminds me of every time I hear this podcast, somebody says two movies that I'd rather watch. You know, when you
Yes.
look at the production value and the cost of
Yes.
these movies, Minority Report was 1.6 million to make or something close to that.
Oh, much more than that.
And okay, I'm way
Yes.
off then. And then The Matrix, I think it said it was 63 million, but I could be off.
Which was cheap for that kind
You're
of
actually
movie.
no, you're
Yeah.
correct
But-
on the Matrix.
On The
It was a
Matrix,
But
yeah.
those
$65
two,
million
it's like
budget.
you're like these aren't even close in budget.
No.
We're trying to compare, and you're like, hey, look at these guys who are doing it professionally, and then
Yeah, that's why I hate when these movies always want to do that. They want to slap another name of a movie on a box
Yeah.
just to get you to watch their movie. I hate that stuff.
Well, Kurt Wimmer himself was upset about that.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he did an interview that I found on, the whatever the Internet Archive site is. Oh, the
Sure.
Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he was very upset about the advertising and how they were trying to piggyback Equilibrium into the Matrix.
Well, that's just what marketing departments do.
And then
it's,
exactly. But looking at it now, yeah, I thought it was horribly advertised.
Well, there's a huge discrepancy here between critics and fans, and this is why it qualifies to be on our show. It's right now it's sitting at a 7.4 on IMDb, which if it's not our highest, it's our second highest movie that we've had. So that's rated by the fans, right? But it's a 41% on Rotten Tomatoes. So the critics have said this is a bad movie, okay, according to critics.
Yeah.
And the audience score is 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. So
Huge
a
disparity.
big disparity there
Yeah.
between what people at home think and what the critics think. So the critics are the ones that have laid this on our table, so to speak, and said, this movie is bad.
So it checks 2 of the 3 boxes, basically.
Yeah, and we're going to decide if the critics are right or not, essentially. Makes
way-
sense?
Are they ever?
Sometimes.
Are they ever?
So it was 102 million. I said 1.6.
Yes. I was going to say much more.
It was
Much
102
more.
million.
The budget for Minority Report?
Yeah, I was sitting here going, that had to be an $100 million movie. Yeah,
That's what it was.
Yeah.
for sure. For just Tom Cruise alone, it's $20 million right there.
It really is.
That's my,
Really is.
yeah, that's my question though.
Yeah.
Is for this, Christian Bale wasn't that known at this point.
No, he wasn't a huge star.
20 million. Where do you think that money went?
Well, set
know-
design.
Okay, because I know they ran out of money in post, and
Yep.
that's why there's like no blood for the most part.
Well, there is a stylistic choice for that, which we'll get into, I think. But but you're right. I mean, there's a lot of corners cut to get there.
Yeah.
For sure. So if you guys are watching right now on YouTube, if you guys could do me a favor, all the contractually obligated YouTube stuff, smash that like button, leave a comment. Seriously though, for the algorithm, if you could please leave a like and leave a comment, we would really super appreciate it. If you're listening at home, please leave us a review, whatever podcast app that you currently use, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Every review that you leave, 5 stars, helps boost our numbers and push us out to more people. So we would really appreciate that as well. Also, for as little as $3 a month, you could have access to bonus episodes, exclusive polls to vote on new and upcoming episodes, as well as participate in the episodes themselves and submit your award winners. The link to our Patreon, which is how you do that, is in our show notes. So just go in there and you'll see it's patreon.com/badmoviesrule. And if you like what we're doing, jump on board, man.
Do it. I dare you.
Only $3 a month?
That's it.
Wow, that's like the cost of a cup of coffee at Starbucks a day.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Man, we're way better than Starbucks.
all you got, just skip one day.
You need to start your day with BMR.
Right,
That's right.
right. Skip one day of Starbucks and start your day with BMR instead.
That's right.
Yeah. You can make coffee at home.
Yeah, make coffee at home, loser. Pay for our show. All right, let's get some overall impressions out of the way. So, Ryan, first time you saw this movie was when? Do you remember?
2003.
Okay, so you saw it right after it came out.
This was on my list of. It played at Tinseltown, which is our local Kenosha theater. It played at Tinseltown for 1 week.
Wow.
And I remember just seeing, I'd never saw a preview, never heard about it, just looking at showtimes for, whatever, it was December of 2002, I think, and saw the poster for it. I was like, oh, what's that? That's a cool poster. Clicked on it. I was like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. And then next week it was gone.
Just not there.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, well.
They said, pull this thing out before we make any money.
Yeah, right. And then, it was, I don't know, like I know I rented it when it came out, bought the DVD, have the DVD.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are your impressions of the movie when you watch it now? Is it still do you like it as much as you did then, or did you not like it at all?
I like it more now because when I first saw it, I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
And certainly wasn't as educated in the ways of the dystopian future ideology. So I watched it on the premise that it was an action movie like The Matrix. So there's the misadvertisement to me. And thought to myself, I'm like, okay, this is a really cool action movie, but I don't understand what is going on in this thing.
Right.
And even to this day, we'll get into this a little later, but like the dialogue, some of the exposition in it is hard to follow.
It is.
It's badly mixed, in my opinion. That's the problem, where like the dialogue just doesn't resonate in your head. So thought it was a cool movie when I was a kid, liked the action. And now to this day, I'm like, okay, I mean, I get the criticism of it, but in any type of dystopian, piece of art, like, yeah, of course you're going to piggyback off of George Orwell and all those guys. Like,
it seems like dystopian futures is becoming a bit of a staple on this show for some reason. I feel like this is like the 5th or 6th dystopian future movie that we've done.
Yeah. I mean, I did Escape from LA with you guys, and
that's what I'm saying.
Equilibrium.
We did Postman.
Oh yeah, Postman. Right.
Waterworld.
Yep.
Prayer of the Roller Boys was a dystopian future.
Tank Girl.
Tank Girl.
Tank
Yeah,
Girl.
that's what I'm saying, man.
Would you count Fifth Element?
Sure, let's count it.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Ryan, the other Ryan, Madela, what are your overall impressions of the film? Just like in a general sense, what do you think of it?
So I really like this movie.
Oh,
I love it. I first saw it in 2010 when I was 19 years old. And my buddy was like, you have to watch this movie. It's awesome. He put it on, and that first scene, lights go out. He starts doing the gun kata, and I'm just like, holy crap, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So I liked it just for the gunfighting style when I was 19. Watching it again, that actually maybe didn't age quite as well, at least that beginning fight scene. But the story and kind of the emotional attachment you get to the characters and just the overall, the overall story, I actually really enjoyed more watching it this second time.
So it seems like for both of you, it raised in esteem upon a rewatch as opposed to come down a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. And one more thing. I was just going to say, I think that the beginning of the movie, the kind of some of the CGI and stuff, it almost sets you up for being like, okay, I don't really have high expectations for this movie. And then throughout the movie, the way it progresses, you kind of start not caring about that as much as the actual story.
Okay. Kurt, this was your first time watching it?
Tuesday night was my first time watching it.
All right, so I'm interested compared to people that
night.
saw it a long time ago to somebody that saw it now. What do you think of the movie?
So I want to rewind real quick before I answer that. Because
Okay.
Ryan Farrell over there, he made a point, there's something that I miss, which is going and looking at movie posters and choosing a movie based on movie poster alone.
Yeah.
Back when there was no internet, we didn't have anything like that.
No,
and
it's
it's
true.
just like, oh, there's something that I just miss about that. But basically, I wanted this to be an action movie, like James wanted Major Payne to be a romantic comedy.
I did not want it to be a romantic comedy. Are we going to rehash this? They set it up to be a romantic comedy and then didn't follow through.
What?
Jiminy Christmas.
Jiminy Christmas. Anyway, no, this movie, for the 15 minutes of action
Yeah.
and the hour and 15 minutes I had to sit through to get there, I was not a fan when I first watched it. I had to watch it a second time so I could take notes.
Yeah.
And there were more things that I paid attention to that I kind of liked about the story.
Okay.
Like just the way that there's a play on emotions and things that make you like, at what cost do you get rid of emotions? And so that is kind of a neat story.
Yeah.
And I don't know that's, at least I haven't seen another movie that's touched on that.
Got it.
So I don't know if there's another one out there, but I thought that was kind of a neat premise.
Okay, so what I feel like I hear you saying is that it was a piece of crap and you hated it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I
pretty
thought.
much-
I just don't sugarcoat it.
Nailed it.
Okay.
Well,
right.
Sir Hauser, what do you think?
So I remember back in the day, it was one of those things where, when you discover like a music artist that you think nobody knows about, and you have that feeling of like, I discovered these people.
Yeah, and you think you're the coolest
And
person in the room.
I felt like I discovered this movie. This is how I felt. Obviously, I didn't. Okay. And
All right.
you say yourself, you saw it right after it came out and stuff, but that was just the feeling I had, right? I found this randomly on the back of some shelf at some video store, right?
Nice.
And everybody I asked, because I didn't know you at the time, had never seen it. So I showed it to so many people, right? It was like I was the personal distributor of Equilibrium back in the day.
You might have made more money for him.
I probably did. Okay.
You were like an Equilibrium hipster.
I was. But then I haven't watched it for a long time since then, like probably over 12, 13 years.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I struggled more this time around. I think I kind of went in the other direction as you guys did.
Interesting.
I still like it. I mean, there's still more to like than I don't like. Does that make sense? But the truth is, my problem is that the movie struggles to follow its own absurd internal logic.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And so that really bugs me.
That makes sense.
That's something I picked up on more as well.
Yeah.
But I guess just the overall extra comprehension of the themes it's proposing, for me anyway, got better.
Like I said, I still like it more than I don't. But I guess I noticed things I didn't notice before.
Yeah.
So you guys want to just dive into this thing and let's just
do
start
it.
going through
Head
the movie?
first.
Head first. Just let me give you a little bit of background first for the people listening at home that maybe have never seen Equilibrium. It basically what happened in the world is this. World War III happened. They start off the movie with nuclear bombs going off, right?
Yep.
Don't really dive too far into that, but they've basically said we cannot afford to have a fourth world war. And the reason for man's inhumanity to man is a result of his capacity to feel.
Yep.
And therefore, we must get rid of all emotion. This is the new society that's born out of the ashes of World War III.
Libria.
Which is like this walled off, restored city. Like the ruins of the old cities are on the outside of the wall.
Right.
And everybody lives in this new city. That's
Libria is a city-state of its own.
That's right.
Yeah.
And in order to enforce this, they invented this thing called the grammaton cleric.
Tetragrammaton.
The first time it's seen, it just says the grammaton cleric.
Right. They just say the grammaton cleric.
And they're like these highly advanced, which we'll get into in what ways, but these advanced warriors that essentially police emotion and people that they find that are feeling.
Yes.
See, it makes me laugh.
Yeah.
They're hunting down the sense offenders.
Sense offenders.
Yes.
That's right.
That's right.
In the nether region. Nethers.
Right.
In the nethers.
In their nether regions.
In the nether region. The sense offenders in the nether region.
The nethers are what they call the old ruins.
The nether region.
Yeah.
The irony.
That's right. All right. And so as we talk about this, I don't want to catch anybody smiling or feeling anything, okay?
Prosium. I mean, it's hard when you find some sense offenders in your nether region.
Yeah. How do you not get a feeling?
How do you not get a feeling from that?
I don't know.
Is it offensive, though?
I want to say when this movie started and it was being narrated, I thought it was being narrated by Scar from Lion King.
It did sound a little bit like Jeremy Irons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be in it. And then I was like, oh, I'm highly disappointed.
Yeah.
That's why you don't like this movie?
Because Jeremy Irons wasn't in it?
That's not the only thing.
I will say Jeremy Irons would have been a much better DuPont.
No way.
Yeah. I like Angus McFadden. I'm not going to take that.
Oh, DuPont. I thought you were talking about Errol Partridge.
Oh, no.
No. I was like, no. Don't you dare say that.
No. Sean Bean, in any single movie that Sean Bean is in, he's irreplaceable.
Oh, yeah. Jeremy Irons would have been great.
If anyone said, oh, we're going to replace Sean Bean, like, oh, no, you're fired.
Guess what? You just triggered a clause. That's actually you get fired.
You're fired.
Anytime anyone suggests firing Sean. All right. So the first thing we see, guys, is the clerics on a raid. And the two clerics are Preston, who is played by Christian Bale, and Errol Partridge, who is played by Sean Bean himself. And this is a good introduction to the grammatons, the clerics, because they're raiding a building out in the nether regions that supposedly contains people that are there people feeling in this building?
Yeah.
No, not.
Yeah.
We can smell your emotions.
Basically.
We're going to kick the door.
Open the door.
Yeah, open the door.
Yep. Yeah, with the giant SWAT team of like they just roll up on them. They're like, "Hey, you guys got paintings?
You guys looking at stuff in there?
What are you reading? Hey, you reading a book? What are you doing?"
It's like I just busted in. I'm looking at a nudie mag and my mom busted in.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, put the paintings away.
Except your mom busts in with an assault rifle and tactical gear, and you're like,
Well, and can we talk about
Yes.
the first death in the movie?
Yes.
This dude busts out the double doors
Yes.
with one gun,
With one gun.
and there's 87
Yes.
police out
Yes.
there that just light him up. And
Yep.
it's like what is he thinking? Like, I'm going to get out here, guys. I'm going to take care of it.
I
Don't
got
worry."
this.
It's okay, guys. I've got my gun.
Maybe he was probably just overwhelmed with feeling of who knows what.
I feel.
Yeah, exactly.
This is issue number one for me of the movie is that the staging of the action scenes that aren't directly like fights involving the main character are very haphazard.
Yeah.
In that, depending upon what the plot needs, everyone is on one side is an idiot and just gets gunned down. They never take cover or anything, or vice versa when it's time for the other side to do the same thing, right? It's just like everyone's either getting mowed down one way or the other.
Right. All the background action.
Yes.
There's a lot
You can
actors.
feel the plot being moved.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's yeah.
It's good to know that in the future, after World War III, they still don't take our guns.
No, they still don't.
Well, where do they get them? Right?
Where do they get
That's
those
a good
guns?
question.
And that's a great question.
Where does anyone get anything?
How'd they get the Mona Lisa?
Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah.
That's right.
How'd they get the Mona Lisa?
Right.
Because we see that these people that
Right.
they're raiding this building are in possession of some priceless art.
That was actually NFTs.
Those were NFTs. Yeah, well, and what's interesting, we get a little bit of glimpse as they're about to kick the door in. We see that one of the clerics might not be all in on this deal because of some fabulous acting without saying words. We can tell Sean Bean isn't really down for what's about to happen.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think throughout the movie, you see most of the good acting is not in the dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of it's in what the actors are doing.
That is exactly
That
what
stood
I
out to
picked
me.
up this last time I watched it. Once again, something that I did not at all pick up on 20 years ago. But this last time I watched it, I was like, wow, I love the subtext.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
They do a good job of that.
I don't know. If you ask me, I think Preston and Partridge both could have fit on that door.
Yeah.
Like the Rose and Jack question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the first time we really see Preston in action is he knows there's a bunch of dudes barricaded behind this door.
Yeah.
And they got their SWAT team's got, their shotgun barrels pointed at all the door hinges. Okay. And Preston, see if I can describe this accurately, is basically going to run to the door. At the very last second, they're going to blow the hinges. He's going to slide on the door like a surfboard into this dark room and then stand there and do nothing until everyone is sufficiently scared and then kill them all.
Well,
Yeah,
and
you hear
the
whisper.
Well,
the,
then
the other police, I guess if that's what we call them,
Yeah.
had to shoot the lights out at the same time. So
Right.
how many times do you think they set this up in a simulation to practice the timing? Like he just hits
Right.
the door, they forget to shoot, and he just flattens into it.
I love outside.
I want to see the practice tapes. You're
I
right.
love outside. They're shooting up and down the sides of the building.
Yes.
Can't hit a window.
Nope.
Save their life.
Nope.
But Christian Bale's gonna be like, hey, you shoot this light bulb.
Well, just in general, you're right. But just in general, I thought how much money they spent on wall squibs. There's so many wall squibs in this movie.
dude,
absolutely.
that is a lost art.
I know, but there was a ton of them.
Yes, but that is a lot. That's one of another things I love about this movie, and
Yeah.
I miss that about modern action films. I
Yeah.
love bullet riddled anything.
Yeah.
Like when
Yeah.
the glass is flying everywhere, you got the wall squibs going off like that.
For sure.
That is action, not
For
like
sure.
now. I don't.
But even when he kicks the door in and he slides in, it's still lit for his entire slide across the room. And
Yeah.
I'm
You
like,
know where he's standing.
everybody
Right.
could have just shot him immediately.
right,
Yeah.
You gotta
like
wait till he stops.
tactically, they really should have shot the lights out when they also shot the door hinges.
Yes.
But
Or before.
or before.
This was the
Whatever.
best take.
Or how did they cut the power to just the one room and
Right.
not the rest of the building?
Exactly.
And like these guys are just hanging in there in the dark, and they're just
Or
like, well,
Did they all go into the dark room? They're like, we'll hide in here.
That's right.
or that, yeah.
They
Well,
won't
we're gonna
find
go
us.
hide in the dark.
It's like when you hide under your covers and they think you can't be seen.
Yeah.
But then you just hear whisper, whisper, and then death by strobe lights.
Yeah, well, I thought so this is really all this scene is it's illogical because all it is they're trying to use it as a showcase for Preston's skills.
Sure.
Right? Like
It
it's the
sets
first
up how
scene. It's
good
like
he is, right.
look what he can do.
Yeah.
It's the showcase, the first intro to the gun kata.
Gankata, that's right. And so I've actually thought the muzzle flash shots were really well done.
No, that was cool.
It was cool.
That was the first moment I was kind of like, all right, this is cool.
Right?
I might be on board with this.
You can kind of see him shooting in these weird poses in different directions, but mostly you're just seeing the flash of the muzzle accompanied by somebody dying.
Yes.
Different people getting shot.
Yes.
And he takes out this entire room full of people.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, this dude is not to be messed with.
Yes.
And basically, they pry up the floor and they find the Mona Lisa and all this other artwork, and they incinerate it, which really bummed me out, I have to say. I know it's not the real Mona Lisa, but it was an effective use, I think, of that icon
yeah. Right.
to convey a certain amount of emotion.
Exactly. It was
Right.
really. I mean, is it ham-fisted in a way?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. But
Right.
at the same time, the
It accomplishes
screenplay
the
isn't.
goal.
Right.
Oh, I love that they come in, they incinerate the paintings, but nothing else around it.
No,
Good thing you got those suits on, fellas. That's right. Doesn't look like you need them, considering you don't even set the floor on fire.
That's what I'm saying. And he doesn't have a suit on.
No, he's just standing there between them.
And on the outside, after they're kind of doing the whole like, oh man, it's good to bust some dudes out in the nether regions here, we see that Errol, Sean Bean's character, had taken a book with him that he saved.
Yeah, a poetry book.
Yeah, of Yeats before he had been incinerated, and said, well, I'm just taking this to processing myself because sometimes they miss things, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Which again, we know immediately he's not telling the truth because of that little look from before. Mm-hmm. So it's our first, right off the bat, we get this impression that he's not on board with how things go.
Yeah. Well, now that was what I noticed when I had always wondered that in the beginning when I first saw the movie once again, and when Christian Bale says, always coming back to the city from the Nethers reminds me why we do what we do. Mm-hmm. And Sean Bean does it does?
Yeah, right.
And it's like that inflection is what tips him off.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I get it now. Yeah, right.
Even though he covers it right away, it was too late at that point.
Right. Then he does the prosium dose, and this is
it
is.
Like
he agrees with him, and that was.
And this is the first time we get a glimpse of Libria, where they live, and this thing that what you just mentioned, we'll talk about now. The way that they level people out is with a drug called prosium.
Yeah.
Which everyone has these little guns, these little like injection guns they shoot into their neck. Like literally the clocks go off and everyone in the square stops.
Yep.
And takes their prosium at the same time.
In complete unison, an entire city-state stops what it is doing to take their...
To dose, yeah.
To take their Prozac Valium.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean prosium.
And it's like, okay, this is... I think he says, at the cost of the great highs of human emotions, we lose the horrible lows of human emotion. It basically is just supposed to level you off and not make you feel anything. And I'm watching this going... I would definitely be a sense offender because I hate needles, and I'm like, is this the only way that they have to like?
Yeah, I can't swallow a pill or something.
Like, can we get a cream or something, guys? Like, I want to be one of us. I want to do it, but like, I don't want to shoot this thing in my neck.
You know, I think one of the things too that William Fichtner's character implies later on, is about even with that lack of feeling, you also basically don't have the ability to. Like physically feel.
Right. Like you're numb in a way.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you'd be fine, James. Like by the time,
taking the first one though is my problem.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just be incinerated.
Maybe they'll just restrain you a couple times, shoot you up. And then by the next day you'll just be like, all right, well,
they don't seem like the type that do that. They seem like the type like, oh, you don't want it?
Maybe in the beginning.
Let's throw him in the furnace.
Maybe in the beginning. Who knows? Yeah.
Right.
Oh, you don't want it? All right. Well,
somebody give me some fire, please.
That's right. Honestly,
it's either that or this giant furnace that we built in the subway tunnel. But
I'd be like, I want to be a zombie like everybody else, but I just can't do the needles thing. So if we can get a cream or like some kind of topical or like a oral pill or something like that, like
an ointment,
right,
a dermal ointment of some kind.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it just hits the bloodstream faster with the needle.
Well, like a nasal spray.
A nasal.
Yeah. Ooh, a nasal spray.
Prosium nasal spray would be perfect.
Now introducing Prosium. Yeah.
Side effects include.
Yeah.
Being a tool.
We'll put that in the sequel.
Burning paintings.
Shooting puppies.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so this is where we meet the Vice Consul DuPont, the third consigliere of the Tetragrammatron. I laughed so hard when I think you guys know, have been on the show for a while. I love made up stupid words for movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so when he called him this long ass name, Vice Consul DuPont, third consigliere of the Tetragrammatron, father's voice, I was like, I wrote it down instantly. I'm like, this is the greatest thing of all time.
Yeah.
And this is Angus McFadden, who's essentially the de facto voice of Father, who is the guy that has set up the entire
city.
The new order was Father's idea. And he's the voice of Father because Father doesn't actually see anybody or interact or talk to anybody.
Nope, just the giant propaganda TVs throughout the city-state of Libria.
The videos and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so he's meeting with Preston because Preston's pretty high up in the clerics. He's like the cleric.
Yeah, so they were saying like he's grade 1 or something. He kept identifying himself as Tetragrammaton grade 1 John Preston.
Right, and he basically says you're like a prodigal, like you're capable of knowing what people are feeling or when people are feeling, right?
Well, and there's that little during the exposition of, you know, the introduction to Libria, and they have the armed, basically the armed police just walking streets with assault rifles and motorcycle helmets. And, you know, there's the
they
scene
look
with
like
the
SWAT team.
Yeah, basically you just have SWAT teams walking around the street every hour of every day. But there's the little cutaway of the kid standing on the pedestal, and, you know, he taps the guy on the shoulder and points him out.
Yeah,
So
I saw that. He's like, this guy.
Yeah, so that's, to me, and then obviously John Preston's son is also in the program or whatever he calls it. Mm-hmm. So
The monastery.
So the monastery. So they have some, you know, some use of children being intuitive and knowing people who are feeling before they feel. And
so that kid, that's what he was doing. He's basically like, that guy just thought about something happy.
Yeah.
Kill
like,
him.
That guy's feeling something right there.
Shoot him immediately.
Yep. So they probably took him to the incinerator.
Incinerator.
Yeah.
Well, they can't use dogs.
Exactly.
No, they can't. They just sniff out happy
They
people.
can't. Guys, there go drug dogs. Now we just have drug kids.
Go ahead.
With this whole exposition where he's talking about, you know, you're this great person, and then you're probably getting into this, but he goes, well, what happened to your wife?
Yeah, that was kind of rude.
It's like I wrote down like he told what happened, right? This is a tell, not a show. And so it's like, that was one thing where I was like, why are we telling us what happened instead of giving us?
I always show
Like, show me
instead
what
of tell
happened.
when you can.
And wouldn't this conversation, if this guy is at the top now, like wouldn't they would have
Already
an
have
IA
had
investigation
been
when
done.
it first happened?
Yeah.
Like, hey, how'd you know your wife? And then this dude's acting like he's never heard of it, and he's like, so what happened?
Right, like that would, especially in this, like as tight knit as everything is.
Unless he's trying to test him. Because that was the only thing that I see, and this is where I was a little bit lost, because I'm not trying to give anything away. But by the time the end happens, let's just say that.
Yes.
There's a moment where, does he actually know, like, is he testing him to see if he's feeling or not?
Like he's putting his arm around him and they're walking along. He's like, man, you're such a great guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
how about that time someone barbecues your wife? And you look and see, did he feel anything? Did he feel anything?
I twitched.
His eye, no.
No?
But he does, though. But he does, though. I think, look, this is another thing that I realized. It's like, oh, the twist of how they're basically using John Preston. Mm-hmm. I think it begins there. And like you said, it's like, what's the real point of this? And in the end of the movie...
But I think there's...
I don't want to talk about it now, but
I know.
That twist makes no sense at all.
Right. That's a disconnect. They missed some steps.
Which one?
That's what I was saying.
That's what I'm saying.
It wasn't fed enough to me to go, was this it? Or I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
but it wasn't clear. I think that's where I'm kind of agreeing with you. Like, show me.
Right.
Give me some more info, because it just seems too...
Basically, he just brings up this thing where John Preston's wife had been killed and incinerated because she herself was a sense offender. That he's this great cleric, but what about the fact that you didn't notice that your wife had been sensing or feeling yourself?
Yeah.
Right? That was the accusation.
Right.
And he brushed it off and said, "No, I didn't know about it, sir, and sorry," and all that.
Yeah.
Well,
and says, I didn't feel it. And he says, how'd you feel about it? And he said, I don't understand the question, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think this is where you kind of see with Kurt Wimmer, not Mummer.
What?
It's like you turned your name upside down.
It's like as he's directing, he's trying to put these breadcrumbs down and then finish it later.
Right.
And you see it well with some of the practical pieces that we'll get to, where he does it well when it's a physical object, it's something he's showing us. But with this, it's like he's trying to do it through dialogue, and that he has a hard time with connecting it, I think.
No, I agree.
With that piece.
Yeah.
And so following this meeting, Preston goes down to the evidence lockup because he had been tipped off, like you said, by Errol's little inflection. He's going to check up on his partner now to see if he's feeling. And so he goes to the evidentiary locker to see if he actually took that book in to be processed and burned up, right? And the first thing I was asking, like, he gets down to this counter.
I know what you're going to say.
And I'm like, are computers outlawed in the future? Because this dude's like, he's like, yo, it's the future, but I got Santa's naughty and nice list up here, like, to keep track of evidence.
Yeah. When he spins, he's like, see for yourself. And he just spins his giant book around. And it's like, yes, I'm going to take the time to finger through these pages.
Take Deuteronomy, Levit.
Like,
no.
can we get the
Yeah.
can we get the man a computer down in evidence?
Well, and his verbiage, even you wonder if they were planning on doing a computer because he's like, no, it hasn't been updated yet. Right. And it's like, how are they going to push an update to
That's what you call
Right.
it. I'm updating
Right.
my outline right now. This is called updating.
I will say, we, even though we had computer systems at the detention center, we kept a hard log of everything.
Oh, okay. But then there's like
Yes.
old timey giant tome of like, how would you find
on a
anything?
swivel.
On a swivel.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely
We
don't-
didn't have a swivel. We had very large books like that, but we didn't have it on a swivel.
But how do you show them?
You
Yeah,
definitely,
it's-
just
you definitely
really
don't want to
what I
keep a
mean.
bunch of sense offenders on a hard log.
No, you definitely don't want to. So he finds out that Errol never took the book in for processing.
That's
Wah,
impossible.
wah. Right? And he now knows what everybody knows that's watching the movie. Errol is feeling he's a sense offender. And so he goes to confront him in this scene. Out in the Nethers, we see Sean Bean's character is just sitting in an old dilapidated building.
It's a church.
It's a church.
Is it?
Thank you. I didn't
Is it?
put that together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
stained
he's on a
glass
pew.
windows and stuff, and he's in
Yeah.
a pew.
Okay.
And
thought
he's
that was interesting.
he's reading Yeats. And let me just say this, because guys, we've been doing this show for over a year now, and you know that you've been watching a ton of crappy movies when a scene that actually has good acting in it feels like an oasis in the
Yes.
desert.
Yes. Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
You're like, ooh.
I was
what's
like,
gonna
oh my!
happen? Yeah,
when
you're
Sean
roped in.
delivers all of his lines in this
Absolutely.
scene, like an actual like competent actor, it was like I was like taken aback.
Yeah.
You had to like gasp. for
Yes,
air.
I was
You're
like, oh my
pause the
gosh,
movie.
good acting. I haven't seen it in so long.
I can only handle so much, please.
It was just what a pro this guy
No,
is.
the way that he recites the Yeats poem
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
immaculate.
It's perfect.
It's yes.
And it's like Eddie Murphy used to do this bit. I don't know if you guys ever saw this old 80s stand-up thing where he would talk about like if you threw a saltine to a guy who hadn't eaten in weeks,
Right.
he'd be like, this is the greatest. Was that a Ritz? Like this is the best saltine I've ever had in my life. And that's kind of what I felt like with the scene with Sean Bean. I was like, this is the greatest acting performance ever. I mean, obviously it's not, but that's
You found a Ritz in a in a box of saltines.
that's exactly what happened.
Exactly.
He says, and this is the poem. He says, and I'm not going to be even close to him, but I want to recite it for the people at home. It says, but I, being poor, have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly because you tread on my dreams.
There was a very nice pause though there. Yeah.
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 And he basically is like, I'll try and make sure they go easy on you, which is an empty promise. This is Preston saying to him. He's like, you and I both know that's not true.
You and I know it won't happen.
Right. And he ultimately has to execute his friend,
I love
who suicides himself, really.
Right, because he pulls his gun out,
Right.
puts it on his lap. It's not pointed, but he
Yeah.
takes the gun out and he
Clicks the hammer.
clicks the
the
hammer
hammer.
back.
See, and this to me, this is where Kurt Wimmer, as a director, I think shines in these smaller, deliberate moments. of
This
the
was
movie.
great. It was well shot. It was everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, like the B-roll action stuff is not good at all.
No.
Like you just have these
It was
10 guys running
poetic.
at gunfire.
It was poetic in itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
But like the way this scene is shot is so deliberate and so paced perfectly as he just, puts the book up to his face.
right. Because he raises the book in between
Yeah.
the gun. Because at this point, Preston's pointing a gun directly at his face.
Exactly. Because Sean Bean is slowly taking out his sidearm as well.
Right. And Sean Bean raises the Yeats poem
Yes.
in between the gun and ends up shooting him through the book.
Well, and this is
Yeah.
our first, Sean Bean says,
Yeah.
I pay it gladly.
I pay it gladly.
Yeah.
And then the
price-
plume of pages
Yes.
that
Yes.
escape as he lays into the pew.
I love
Yeah.
that it was also that too, where these kind of scenes to me in more of a common film, you usually don't even see the character get killed. Like, the director chooses to not show the death and just the cutaway of like the character walking out. And
Right. You see the gunshot.
the fact that Wimmer just deliberately was, all right, it's all silent. And then bam, and then the plume of pages and all that.
right. It was
So
great.
I think, like
Yeah.
you said, the pacing and also just the emotional tension that he's able to build in these, like you were, each one of these scenes.
Yeah.
It's its own,
Yes.
art piece almost, where he's building the tension, and as you're watching, you're like, what's gonna,
Well, that's why you hire a guy like Sean, because he's in 2 scenes in the movie.
Right.
And he already
Exactly.
brought so much weight to the whole thing, right? And but he gets killed because it's in his contract. Sean Bean has to get killed
in everything.
in every movie he's. I don't know if you're aware of this meme, essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
But Sean Bean he's got like, I don't know how many death scenes at this point. I mean, he gets killed in almost every movie.
At least
There's a bean meme.
There's a yes, there is a well-known concept out there among movie aficionados of Sean Bean's death count.
Yep.
And you're just waiting for him to die in whatever movie he's in. Basically.
Exactly.
This poor guy.
That'll be like his retirement movie. Right. He survives the film, and everyone will be like, "Whoa!"
Wow. But this almost immediately begins to haunt Preston. This murdering of his partner, who he was. I mean, as much as someone could be close to someone in this world, right?
Right.
And right after that, he starts dreaming about his wife.
Well, right before, once he shoots him, Ty Diggs shows up with the stupidest smile on his face.
Yes.
That does not make any sense.
Why does it not make sense
This
to you?
dude missed the meeting with Kurt when he's like, all right, guys, you're taking a drug that makes you not feel anything.
Oh, Tay Diggs was not at that meeting.
We'll get into it at the end of the movie. But I
Okay.
also realized this because once again, I thought the same thing.
Right.
I'm like, for a guy that's working in this emotionless world who's supposed to be an emotionless tool of a person, he smiles a lot.
He does.
Well, and gets angry.
Right.
And gets angry.
Oh, yeah, especially later. Well, I don't want to blow all of our stuff for later.
That's
but yes.
another part of the twist, though.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. And
we-
another part of the subtext that I was like, oh,
And
that's actually kind of crafty.
We also find out that Christian Bale's character, Preston, has a demon child at home.
Yes.
Okay? His son.
His wonderful son.
His son, Damien.
Yes.
Yes, Satan.
Is your number still 911?
He says, at one point, he's like, I saw a boy crying at school today. Should I report him? He's like, yes, light him on fire. I was like, oh my
lighter
God.
fluid.
Oh my gosh, this kid is terrible.
Right. Right.
Dad.
But subtext.
All right, we're not going to blow the twist on everything yet. At this point in the movie, we think he's a demon child.
Subtext.
Okay?
Yes, the first couple scenes with this kid. You're right. I wanted him to just get shot in the face.
Yes.
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 Well, and you think
Especially.
you think right away, like, okay, this kid's totally in.
Right.
Like, whatever's going to happen to Bale, this kid is going to rat him out sometime. Like, that's what I kind of felt.
Right. He's like the police in his own house.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he's like, Father, what's wrong with you?
No, he calls him John.
Well, whatever. Right.
No,
Yeah.
that's the best. That was like the icing on the cake. Is
Yeah.
like, John.
Yeah, he doesn't
What are
even
you
call him
doing?
Dad.
And like 4 or 5 times in the movie, we get what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, and it's jarring every time.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
I'm at home like, I'm just watching this movie.
Right.
I'm taking notes. Leave me alone.
Yeah, you look over your shoulder to see if Christian Bale's son is watching you. And you're, get out of my house.
Right. And the next morning, his daughter smiles at him at breakfast. I was like, don't do that crap or he's going to light you on fire.
Stop flipping your cereal onto
and
the
there
table.
you go. And that's it right there.
Right.
She's playing with her cereal like she's obviously annoyed or bored or irritated or whatever 12-year-old teenage girl crap
Right.
she's going through. And he just dead nuts looks at her. Stop that.
Stop that.
I was just waiting for him to have a gun fly out of his sleeve.
Like exactly.
My goodness.
Yep. So this is now also James when John Preston misses his first dose of Prozium.
And it's interesting that it's not on purpose
Right. It's not on purpose.
because he accidentally knocks his Prozium dose off the counter. And I think that's where we get another one. What are you doing?
Right.
From his son.
yes.
And he said, I accidentally knocked it off. I will go to Equilibrium. Son tells him, you'll go to Equilibrium
Right.
in the
His son
morning
tells him exactly what to do.
and get a new dose.
You're going to log the loss.
Right.
And report to Equilibrium.
You're like, okay,
And
cool.
replace the dose.
And he goes to do that, and he only stays off of the Prozium because that one happens to be shut down.
Yeah. That the location happened to be on lockdown due to terrorist activity.
And then Tay Diggs picks him up before he can go to another one. So I think it's interesting that
What's Tay Diggs' name in this movie?
I don't even remember. Brant. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Brant. I'm just going to call him Tay Diggs for the rest
That's
of the thing. But he didn't come off of this like he had some big epiphany and was like, I am no longer going to do it. Like it literally was an accident.
Yeah. I think part of it, as we were talking about how he's starting to feel a little haunted, even despite being on the Prosium. There's that line of dialogue, how he sets it on the thing and knocks it off, and he's like, oh, I took my dose out before I brushed my teeth. I never do that.
I never do that.
Yeah.
That's true.
So there could have been maybe a subconscious thing there with Preston. I mean, maybe I'm just giving Wimmer too much credit.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Well, and
Yes, you are.
part of the premise is I think they only dose twice a day,
Yeah, maybe.
if I'm not mistaken.
They got
And
like 5 capsules in that gun.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true. But maybe they have extras.
Right.
It seemed like they don't dose. And
Right off.
they only dose enough to where if you miss a day, it's over. This doesn't have a long release. It's just
No.
Yeah.
So, so I thought that was interesting because it's kind of like, okay, actually I don't know where I was going with this.
Well, I know where he's going. He's now going on another raid with Tay Diggs, right?
Yes.
They're going out together, and they find this girl, and this drove me crazy.
Yeah.
They find this girl, and he's like, "That mirror is illegal. Destroy it," because it had like
Yeah,
an
the frame.
ornate frame around it.
Well, he loses his temper right before that, though.
Right before that, right? Because she's a sense offender. She's been feeling whatever. The thing that drove me nuts about this is I was like, I know Mirror Lady from somewhere, this actress that
Yes.
plays the sense offender. And it drove me insane. I had to stop the movie and go look her up. And I realized that the only thing I knew her from was this movie. And it was Equilibrium that I knew her from.
And you couldn't remember the movie.
And I was like, where do I know her from? It was the movie I was watching.
Literally were in your own time lapse of just trying to figure it out.
Oh, that's
in your own
hilarious.
Groundhog Day.
Yes. Emily Watson.
Emily Watson.
She's great.
Yeah.
But
Did you ever
I
see Red
knew-
Dragon?
No.
No?
This is what I'm saying.
She's amazing in Red Dragon.
I only knew her from this.
Yeah.
So, but essentially and this is another issue where there's a great shot. They bust through this wall and they find all this old stuff, artwork and knickknacks and things that she was holding on to. These are the contraband that they will destroy on site that causes emotion. And she goes to grab one of the guards' weapons, and Tay Diggs goes to shoot her. And there's this great shot where
Love it.
we don't know right away. The gun
Love
goes off, and then the camera turns, and we see that he's moved. Christian Bale has moved Tay Diggs' hand.
Yep.
Up into the
Up
air.
into the air.
The,
Right, 'cause
does
the
the
gun is
90
parallel.
degree tilt.
Yeah.
Pull out.
It was
and
great.
then yes.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking of when we talked about knockoff and how in that case the director's like, look what I can do stuff was a detriment
Yes.
to the movie.
Yes.
Where it's the opposite in this film. I feel like all the stuff, because he chose sparingly. He was a
Yes.
little more judicious with it. Yeah, but it actually worked and added to it in this movie.
Yeah.
As opposed to knockoff.
Like the guy from the Bible?
Like the guy from the Bible.
Yeah, Judas.
Ooh. That
What
guy?
did you say?
Judicious.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Judicious.
Speaking of the Bible, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tetragrammaton. I mean,
Yes.
the very overt religious undertones of this film, which I figured you'd comment a little more on, James.
Yeah, no, I read about that. I just didn't want to get into all of it because we only have we're already 53 minutes into this, and we're not even halfway through the movie.
Yeah. So we'll just gloss over the religious
Okay.
undertones
Yeah.
of the Tetragrammaton being the Hebrew name for God.
for God, yes,
Yes, and
All
all
that
that other stuff. And
for sure.
anyway,
I do think it's funny that Tay Diggs, though, is like 1 out of 5 black guys in this movie.
yeah,
And then it's like,
yeah,
you would think maybe there'd be
More.
more
Yeah.
in the future.
were there even others?
There was like, when they do the like cutback and everyone's like in the city watching the TV, there's like,
right.
There's
there's
some extras.
sprinkled in there. Yeah.
There certainly
but-
wasn't any more with lines.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so they arrest Mirror Woman and, they light all her stuff on fire. And this is also, as we're walking back, we get the first introduction to what gun kata is. We see like a little instructional video.
Is that what that's called?
Gun
Yes,
kata?
no,
I thought it
gun
was
kata.
Gunometry.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
There was like the
Geometry.
math and the whole.
But it's based on that. This was, I thought, was super dumb. I'm just going to say it. It's super stupid. In fact, I'll say the two things because we just talked about this other thing where they found her room. But before that, gun kata. The idea of this whole thing, it's like nerd martial arts. Okay. It was like we statistically analyzed thousands of gunfights. And now we know that if you stand exactly in these ways,
They have determined the geometric distribution of antagonists in any gun battle to statistically predictable element.
that's it. That they can statistically predict where the gunfire will come from.
Maximum kill zone for maximum
It's like
damage.
this is by far the dumbest made up martial art in any movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, it gave us John Wick.
And John Wick is not doing gun kata.
Yeah, it gave us John Wick.
No, it did not.
Just saying.
John Wick is doing like jujitsu and stuff. It's not doing gun kata where he stands in a circle of 14 guys and is doing this stupid move. Okay? That's not what John Wick is doing.
No.
They call it gun kata, but it's not the Kurt Wimmer. Kurt Wimmer, this is how stupid this is. And anytime anybody ever is like, I'm gonna make up a martial art in my garage, right? Like generally those people are let's just call it what they are. Dorks, okay?
Yes.
And then
They're movie-making dorks.
Well,
Because no one.
And then he put his stupid backyard martial art. He's like, well, we can predict the way the bullets are going to go. And so if I just stand like this, no one can, look, you can't get me. It's so stupid.
How many?
If you're listening to the podcast, go watch the video just to see James's impersonation of Gun Kata.
Thank you.
It's wonderful.
100% accurate. But how?
It's dumb.
My question though about this is: so Kurt Wimmer, standing in his backyard, made this up. Right?
Yes.
How many police reports? That's my only question.
You know what? I'll tell you, if he did it in Twin Lakes, Wisconsin, every day.
How many put upon friends did he bring over and just with their eyes rolling like, no, check it out. Check
what
this
about
out.
this one?
What about this one? That's what I'm saying. It's like,
What about this?
Ridiculous.
Friends are like, you're basically doing the hokey pokey.
I know. Here's the other dumb thing.
I put
Okay.
my right gun in, I pick my right gun out, I put my left gun in, and I take my left gun out.
There were some
And you
cool
spit
poses.
it all about.
Yeah.
There were some cool poses and stuff. But the other dumb thing is they keep
on.
finding all this stuff and lighting it on fire, okay? And in a little bit, they're going to light another room of stuff on fire, okay?
Yes.
And the whole thing is stupid because if you have a drug that suppresses emotion, why do you need to destroy things that cause emotion? The drug should do it for you.
Okay. It's
Thanks for listening.
These people
Thanks for
really
listening.
like having...
I'm kidding. Just like, if the whole point of the drug is to suppress emotion, then you don't need to destroy the things.
okay, but the
thing.
other
Jerry Seinfeld.
the other concept of the subtext is that without evil to fight, can there be good? And the whole point of the Grammaton cleric, as they pitch themselves as this overarching good entity of, oh, we've eradicated war and human emotion and we're all calm and beautiful,
Yeah.
is the fact that that cannot exist without evil or something
Man.
to combat.
You got way in the weeds on this.
No,
And you
that's-
got that.
come
That is
on.
not even close to being
Yes.
clearly implied in the movie.
Yes.
What's the bad guy's name?
DuPont.
DuPont.
DuPont. I
Yeah.
think he just really doesn't like antique malls. I think that's... Ultimately, everybody has an antique mall in their basement.
But
and
wait
he
until the
burns
ending.
it.
Here's the thing. Why are they dosing?
Why are they
Why
dosing?
are they dosing?
For compliance.
But to what's the function of Prosium?
To eradicate emotion.
Right. So why do you have to get rid of stuff that makes you feel emotion?
Because
Actually,
it's Father's
you won't
message.
feel it.
DuPont,
No,
DuPont answers
here's-
this question.
Right. I was just
Does
going to
he?
say, there's a scene with John Preston and DuPont. And this is the first time that Preston is questioning the message.
Right.
And DuPont says, it's not about Father's message. It is about our obedience to the message.
So he's acknowledging it doesn't make sense, but we just have to do it.
Yes.
Exactly.
So thank you.
Yes.
I feel like we've come to the same place.
I agree.
Cue the music.
I agree with you that it doesn't make sense that they're destroying the sense offenders
Yeah.
stuff. But
That's
at the
almost the
same
point.
time, it's like that's the point is their mission
Right.
as the totalitarian regime is to give them that,
I got you.
you know, this superfluous task of even when Tay Diggs says something,
Yeah.
he's like, oh, you know, once all this stuff is gone, what's going to be left for guys like you and
Yeah.
me? Like,
Well, the next few scenes we're going to just kind of gloss through because it's all kind of the same, right? It's like essentially
the grammaton at the gramophone.
the slow discovery of his emotions. It's basically like 4 or 5 scenes, and each one really only functions to communicate the gradual build of him discovering his emotions, right? So it
Preston's
starts off
emotions, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
where he tears the cover off of his window.
He
right?
sees rain and sunshine.
It's like, look, even the view out your window can be artistic, right? With the sunset and all of that.
He feels beauty.
Right.
I love, this is a real quick thing. I just love how the lack of feeling, how he goes to lay down in his bed and it's literally just a bare mattress.
Right.
That was the first thing my wife said when I showed him first sleep. She's like, no sheets?
No sheets. No sheets. No pillow. You just sleep on this bare mattress in this society of no feeling.
Well, he starts to touch the railing as he's going up the stairs, right?
Yep.
And
He sees the woman. Yeah, he sees the woman with the bare hands and he takes his glove off and touches the railing.
And then he just starts fondling everything.
Yeah, he does.
Like in every scene after that.
Well, so then that's the next raid, which, as you can say, we really can just kind of like gloss through this part of the movie.
That's what I'm saying.
Because it is really just like,
it's repetitive.
Now we're going on another raid. There's more sense offenders. And then he finds his room of artifacts.
And he listens to Beethoven.
That's
on a vinyl record.
That's what I mean. The grammophone at the gramophone. That's all I thought.
Yeah.
Was
and he cries.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
He drops the snow globe and cries, and then,
I know we're short on time. The only thing I wanted to call out, though, in this part is, what if it would have been a CD?
A CD that he would have
Had
been
like
host.
scratches.
Right.
It's just skipping.
Yeah.
Good thing it was a pristine. The record can scratch and skip too, so that was a good copy that he had there.
Well, I think that was a good choice to use something old enough that it didn't age poorly like Time Cop.
I just think, as we're glossing through this, this is also my favorite section of the movie.
Oh, it is?
For me, I think...
When they were shooting puppies, that was your favorite?
No, not that part.
But this is literally the part.
Or was it the part when he's like being a dirty ribbon sniffer?
Yes, like the dirty ribbon sniffing. Like, this is what I mean about the little
No son of mine's
deliberate...
going to be a dirty ribbon sniffer.
He takes the book, too.
The very meticulous actions of Kurt Wimmer as a director, and all he's working with is Christian Bale.
Yeah.
This is what I mean, where it's like...
Smell the ribbon.
Yes. I love this section of the movie and how deliberate it is of like, it's not like some in your face character arc. It's just a like, oh, he can feel a railing. Oh, he can listen to music.
So he
can shoot a puppy.
Here's my Batman.
He doesn't shoot a puppy.
I know he doesn't. I'm just trying to move on.
All right,
Here's
so
my
puppies.
here's my Batman tie-in because we got Christian Bale.
Okay.
I immediately thought of Adam West.
Yes.
Some days you just can't get rid of a dog.
They go outside and
they
there's
go on
all
another
these
raid and
there's
there's dogs.
all these dogs outside in this kennel and they just shoot them one by one and it's horrible and Christian Bale is flinching each time a shot is taken and one of them gets away. It's like a
Burmese mountain
dog. Thank you.
Yeah, a little
But a
puppy.
puppy. And he saves it. He decides he's like, toss it back. We're going to shoot the thing. He's like, no, we need to have it tested for disease. I'm like, good cover, dude.
Yeah, no, look,
There's so many
it was terrible.
dogs
It's
in Libria.
when he grabs the dog, he's like, I think we should check it. If there's an epidemic going on in the Nethers, we need to know about it.
That's right.
Yeah, but when he turns around, it's like, ooh, you boo boo doo doo to it. Everybody's like, red flag.
It's super. Though this is the whole thing. Through this whole section, he should have been caught like 17 times.
Right,
Absolutely.
He's just emoting all
That's
over
what I
the
mean.
place.
Like Tay Diggs clearly, every look that Tay Diggs gives him is
He
that
knows.
You're just like, come on, man.
But part of the overarching scheme.
Yes, is that he knows already, right? Which we'll get to.
17
That was a nice high pitch on there.
Thank you.
He goes then in nighttime. He goes back out into the Nether, right, to release the dog,
Right.
by himself. But he ends up having to murder a murder squad. Like one of these, like
Look, they're called sweeper teams.
sweeper teams,
Okay.
which is a murder squad.
You really had to hit
And they're like,
the torturous brutality of it there. I think that was.
get your hands up. You're out here in the dark at night.
Look, that's not acceptable in Libria.
Yeah,
all right? That was
that's
not
right.
politically correct, sir.
And so he's like, he's trying to say I'm a grammaton cleric. They're like, we don't believe you. Like, you definitely look like a drifter. I'm like, no, he looks exactly like a grammaton cleric.
You're not a cleric, even though you're dressed like one driving the signature white Cadillac.
And after 15 minutes of questioning, I magically recognize you.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, John, I didn't recognize
sorry.
you.
Where's
Sorry,
your
man.
coat?
Where's in the-
It's in the trunk with the dog, which as soon as they open the trunk and he's about to get away. They do the whole thing.
Yes.
Where he's about to get away and they're
Yes.
about to hand him his keys, but then you hear the woof from the trunk.
Great scene. Love
And
it.
pulling the
Such
keys.
an amazing scene.
Now he's got to kill this whole murder squad,
Sweeper
Yeah.
team.
sweeper team. And so he gun katas them.
With their own guns.
And it's a little ridiculous. You got to admit, the gun kata stuff. Like, they all have to be huddled around him in like this little circle for it to work perfectly.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Yeah.
they didn't all go one at a time.
No,
Can we say that?
that's true.
Look, this scene when he finishes the gun kata and the freaking light bulb explodes behind his head is one of my favorite singular shots of the movie.
I do love when
shot.
the gun turns and he goes, "Oh shit!"
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
Yes, that was cool.
Yeah.
That and the backflip over the thing, that was cool. But
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
once he got into the middle and was doing the gun kata
You're like,
stuff,
"All right, I've
You
seen
just
this."
didn't
looked
like gun
ridiculous.
kata.
The gun kata.
It's so dumb. It's so it's got to at least be relatively reasonably plausible.
You would
Like,
not-
I'll suspend my disbelief a certain amount. But
Reasonably
You would not think
plausible?
that Jim Kata would be better than gun
Jim,
kata.
that's what I'm saying. I've seen
No.
Jim Kata, and this is the worst made up martial art.
No. How dare you? How dare you, sir?
This is a better. Oh, this is a better. Hold on. This is a much better movie than Jim Kata. I'm talking about specifically that martial art. You have
Made up
gymnastics.
martial arts, right?
Yes, the made up martial art. You have gymnastics mixed with karate. Is far better than his stupid gun geometry thing that he came up with. I'm not
Gonometry.
talking about the movies. That's not even close.
Sure.
Equilibrium's better, for sure.
I guess it was just his
Yeah.
use of geometry.
That's why you don't like
technically-
it.
Like, right. Imagine understanding math. Okay,
Right,
I'm not
right.
trying to.
What a nerd.
First of all,
Look at this guy. He knows math.
First of all, it should have been trigonometry.
Trigonometry.
Oh, it should have been trigonometry.
Facts.
All right. So the next day, he's working out some stuff in the gym, and Tay Diggs
Reverse grip.
stops by to spar with him. Right?
Yeah, just out of nowhere in full sparring gear. Just like, hey.
He's like, actually, I came to tell you about a raid. I'm like, you came to tell me about a raid in full sparring gear?
Yeah.
This is just how I walk around.
Look, it's the ham-fisted. There's just parts of it. I agree. There
is
are
my
parts that are
Sunday
just.
lounge
This is my
attire.
Sunday lounge attire.
it's
By
so
the
weird.
way, we have a raid to go on.
With a full fencing mask. I walk around with a
I
full
tap
mask.
your shoulder. You tap my inner thigh.
Well, that's okay. Trope alert though on that one.
Yeah.
It looks like I just got beat, but by the way, I've got something on your groin.
Oh, yeah, they do that
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
time. That's a big trope, too. For
You know,
sure.
I just had a flash to Batman Begins where I just wanted him to be like, yield.
This is only a few years before that.
I know.
That's
I
what
know.
I'm saying.
I'm just like, he's already doing this. He could have just been like, yield.
could have.
And it could have been like, oh.
And so
Foreshadowing.
we go to this raid, and again, 50 rebels who can't shoot or fight, which is a problem in this movie. They all just get mowed down.
Yeah.
And he ends up finding a group of guys that he's trying to help escape, which they're morons because he's like, go. No, you're just going to shoot us in the back, man. They're like, no, you idiot.
Yeah.
Why don't you shoot us in the face like a real man?
Shoot us in the face like a real cleric.
So instead, he literally tries to lead these guys out. Now, there's murder squads all over the place. There's
Sweeper teams.
There's his own partner, right?
Watching him.
Baldy McGrindy or whatever.
Brant.
Brant.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
is like somewhere in the
Diggs.
building.
Yeah.
And
The fire trucks is coming in, hosing all the
stuff
barrels down.
And he tries to help these dudes escape, and these guards run in and get. They run in and perfectly encircle him so that he can do gun kata to them.
What about gun cleats?
Okay,
I was
That's
just
what
going
it
to
was
say,
in this
you
scene.
know,
Is
and
that what
that
those are
part.
called?
Gun cleats.
who would run in? Oh, sir, what's going on? And perfectly encircle him like that, and then
Right.
and go. Oh, and
Right.
they didn't know he was a bad guy at this point. They just lined themselves up.
Yeah.
Sir, let's get right around you and hear what you have to say.
Exactly.
So what do you have to say about this?
He's a sex offender. Goosh, 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 goosh. And it's just like
We got helmets on. What'd he say?
Any martial
what
arts-
did he say?
any-
I can't hear him.
Get closer.
any martial art that requires everyone to be in a perfect circle around you to be effective. It's so stupid.
Well, and here's what's interesting is there's like 3 different things that happen.
Why are
with
you
close quarters
thinking
fighting
so
in
much
this.
about it?
There's shooting because
Yes.
he uses guns to kill people right next to him.
Look, he knows gun kata.
There's gun cleats, and then there's swords. So there's 3 different types
Yes, there is.
of attacking from very close quarters.
Yes.
So it's just interesting that they chose. I see why they did it because it looks cool, but
it looks very
that's
cool.
the only reason.
This is the whole. This is thank you. You've come put your finger on it here, okay? Because it looks insanely cool.
Yes.
And that's all it is a dude that thought up a martial art that would in no way actually ever be effective at work, but he's like, but this is going to look so badass. And it did.
Kurt, stop inviting us over.
I'm not arguing that it did. It looked cool. It looked very cool. Okay.
I just really like it, guys.
I just really like this guy.
Why he made the entire movie.
That's right.
Right. Just to have something to
we
put
need
this
a
made
reason.
up. I need a reason to film this made up martial art.
I really want to have friends. If I make this cool, like gun kata, I can show it off to people. I'm going to make a movie about this.
right.
You think
You're crazy, Kurt.
You think she'll sleep with me if she sees this?
All right, so upstairs, these guys he's trying to help escape get caught by Taye Diggs and another murder squad.
Partner?
Yes, we did it, partner, and they line them up execution style. And
Again, wincing every time somebody gets shot.
well, he lines up and he wants Preston. Taye Diggs hands him his gun
Yes.
and says, "I want you to shoot all these people." Okay, and he's like, "No, I think it better if you had it." And does a gun switch where he gives him Preston's gun. Like Preston switches his gun.
Yeah.
Which we find out later why he did that. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's taken Brant's gun and he thinks he's handing Brant's gun back to him, but he's actually switched his own gun out for it.
Yeah.
And
Makes
this is one of those practical.
Yeah.
This is like he sets us up here, and when you see it, you're like, "This is a gun swap."
Yeah.
Like you kind of know,
Sure.
but then he doesn't touch on it till the end, or near the end.
This
Yes.
part was this actually was the part that was completely illogical.
It makes
me.
no sense at all.
Yes.
Because it was
didn't see that
after he had already done the killing.
Right.
Right.
Literally.
Oh, that's a really good point.
yes. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
How would Brant's gun have been tied to
would-
shooting those guys?
How would Brant's gun have been tied to killing the sweeper team
Murder squad.
in the Nethers the night before?
Right? Because those guys that he gunned down when they tried to find the dog or whatever.
Yes, that was the whole thing that DuPont's questioning him about. Is
Right.
well, it turns out we traced the gun to the night of the sweeper team murder,
But he swapped the guns afterwards.
and he swapped the guns like days later.
That seems
so-
like an obvious, you got to think that through, Kurt.
right.
Not you, the other Kurt.
No.
The Wimmer man.
The Wimmer man.
The Wimmer man should have
Yeah.
thought that one through, but
Yeah.
it was like, I guess, now that we're thinking about it, I guess really he was basically just hanging out in his backyard, inventing gun kata, and then he'd
gun swap.
and then he'd chill out with an iced tea or lemonade and read George Orwell's 1984.
That's right.
And then he's just like, well, so I'm reading this book called 1984, and I'm working on his gun kata thing. What if I just
Mesh the two together.
put them together?
That's exactly what happened. So Taye Diggs ends up shooting all of them,
This
and
movie should have been called Gun Kata 84.
that's what it should have been called.
Gun kata 84.
This
be
is
our
where they
remake.
basically start to move the pieces around to get in place for the end game, right?
Right.
So, he says Preston goes to the Vice Consul DuPont, third consigliere of the Tetragrammatron, and says to him, I'm rededicating myself. I now want to find the underground and eradicate it, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, he starts to go and visit Mary more often. And this is where he finds out that there's
Relations with
relations
Mary
with
and
Partridge, that they were
Yeah.
a couple, right?
A photo in regular clothing,
Right.
which is kind of weird.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Where did they get the clothes
Because he only has his tetra.
and the camera?
Yeah. That's,
Ooh, yeah.
ooh, yeah.
And
why does
Polaroid
he-
film. Where do they get
Yeah.
Polaroid film?
But
Who's
why-
taking the picture?
So here's my question: when he,
So many questions.
Jurgen,
Look,
why does he lay on top of her? And is this supposed to be sexual tension? That's my
I think it
question.
is because he
Yes.
never felt the about a woman. Exactly.
William Fichtner touches on that later as well.
Right.
I actually think though,
Because he keeps smelling her red
ribbon.
kinda weird.
ribbon.
but I think it would have played better. And if Kurt, not you, if Kurt was a better director, I think that he could have caught on that there wasn't very good chemistry here.
Yes.
'Cause I didn't buy it.
Not at all.
But if it would have just been the human component of just human connection, that would have
Because
sold.
I thought when they reach their hands later on, when they reach their hands across the table and
Yes.
just their fingertips touch,
And they delicately touch tips.
that was.
I love touching
Why you
tips
got to make
with
it
a
weird?
sense
Why you got to make it weird?
They
In your
gingerly,
nether?
Gingerly.
they gingerly touch their tips.
That you could, I think.
with a camera watching the whole time.
I think you could, in that case, can relate to the emotion of human touch for the first time.
Human connection.
Yeah, human connection. All that stuff.
I just felt that. Yeah.
That was a huge connection.
I feel like there's chemistry and
I just phoned
stuff
home.
going on in this room right now.
How you doing?
I'm gonna.
What are you
take a
doing?
lap, guys?
What are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Mind your business.
Okay.
I'm reading
Both
poetry
hands
over
on the
here.
table, buddy.
I'm rearranging my desk.
Totally forgot about that scene.
That's what's kind of coming up now, anyway.
That was
No, that was
That
way
was way
before all
before.
this.
No, it was right because right
No,
after
it was
this is when he
before.
he watches the video of his wife getting incinerated.
Yeah.
Rearranging the desk
Was way before.
Way
Doesn't
before.
matter.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter,
Let's
but
go
Bring
back to the
bring it
rain
up.
scene.
it's once
We got
again.
it.
Yes.
It's once again just a little 30-second blip of he starts feeling and he rearranges the stuff on his desk
Because all the desks look the same.
because all the desks
And in
look
the
same.
background, they're talking
And
about
then you have-
uniformity.
Yes.
Right.
And Tay Diggs says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm rearranging my desk."
I'm
And
optimizing.
You didn't,
while we're
he
mentioning,
says
like,
you didn't
oh.
like the way it was before.
You didn't like
While
the
we're
way it was
mentioning
before.
little things that we missed, he was hiding his prosiums inside the pull-out
Yeah.
mirror.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Next to the piping
true.
in the wall.
All that plumbing. How'd you feel about all that plumbing, Kurt?
It's not true. That's not how it's done.
I didn't have any feeling at all about it.
I don't have any feeling at all about it. I'm merely trying to optimize.
That's right. That's good. I thought that was one of his better covers because some of his covers have been
yes,
terrible.
Yes, love that's the little deliberate moments of just Kurt Wimmer and Christian Bale doing something.
All right.
And anyway,
But long story short, Preston is able to find the underground.
yes,
He's able to follow the clues and
Yeah.
meet Jurgen. And Jurgen's like, literally,
Yeah.
the underground is right under the feet
Thank you.
of the city.
yeah, it's not even hard
Here's
to get
some
to.
lotion. I'm Jurgen.
Yep. Nah.
Is that a good Walmart? No.
A Jurgen motion?
I mean, I guess you can say he did just slide right into the underground.
He did slide right in.
Yikes.
And Jurgen's like, yo, man, we want you to kill father. Like, is that too tall of an order?
I just like how Jurgen's just like, "Oh, we've been waiting for you."
Yeah.
He's just like standing in the corner.
We've been watching you, he
What have
says.
you?
Like,
What, yeah,
how?
Well, and when he throws that dude, the proprietor,
Librarian.
whatever- yeah,
Yeah,
librarian,
librarian guy.
through the bookcase.
Yeah.
How are you gonna put that back together?
You're not.
Like,
You just
Yeah.
exposed the underground.
yeah.
Yeah.
and he's
He did, the librarian just went right back to building it right out. He's like, just son of a, this is.
This is the fourth time this week.
All right, so I feel like things are getting a little convoluted. So let me help the people at home here. Okay. So essentially, he has rededicated himself. Preston is now going to go find the underground, but he's clearly feeling at this point he's
Yeah, so we
totally
say,
off the meds.
quote unquote rededicated to finding the
Rededicated,
underground.
but he's
Yeah.
pretending like he's rededicated.
Right.
He follows the clues and gets into the underground, which is led by Jurgen. Okay, that's a real name, played by William Fichtner.
Yeah.
Fichtner, not Fincher, but there's a T in there.
Also in Batman.
Also in Batman, that's
Yes.
true.
And date night.
And Fichtner, as in Jurgen, says, "We would like you. Thank you for coming. We know that you're a sense offender, even though you're a cleric,
We've been waiting.
and we've been waiting for
waiting.
you.
We've been
but
watching.
because of your position as a cleric, you have access to get to Father to kill Father." And Preston's like, "Yeah, man. Like, I don't know about that because I don't know if I can take on that many dudes." But he goes back to his desk and and the thing that triggers him is Preston goes back to his desk and watches the old video of his wife getting incinerated, right? Or being let off to be incinerated, so to speak. Because at the same time, Mary, who he's developed this kind of relationship with by visiting her in prison, is also being let off to be incinerated. And so he sees himself in the video with his wife just standing there doing nothing and is inspired to go try and stop Mary's incineration.
Right.
Okay.
After Jurgen has said, "Don't visit her; it'll make it more difficult."
It'll make it more difficult. So he runs through the city, blasting pedestrians out of his way, okay, to get to this. He's running through these tunnels. I mean, sense offending all over the place in front of guards everywhere,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
No kids pointing them out or nothing.
no kids like him.
He's a cleric.
Yeah.
And gets to the point where Mary's door has just been locked, and they give us some convoluted reason as to why it can't be opened once. Oh, the time lock.
The turbines.
Whatever.
The turbines to speed. If
Can't stop them.
Another
we can't
Batman
stop 'em.
reference.
They literally do say turbines to speed
Yes.
in the film. They say turbines to speed, and he says, "Oh, the door's already time locked. We can't open it without exploding it at street level."
Right.
And it's like
okay.
okay.
Whatever convoluted reason you need, that
Yeah.
it's too
Who
late.
designed that? What a terrible design. What a god awful design.
Right.
They don't care.
By the way, if we open
I
this
did-
door, the street's gonna explode.
It's just how it is. You got to ask Fred. He made it.
Yeah.
Tony.
Tony and Fred, those guys.
Right.
Hey,
We didn't have them do the other ones. It's
Hey
just
guys,
this one.
look, I'm sorry, I didn't have time. All I got is you got to lock this thing,
Give us
otherwise
some
the street
jet
blows
engines.
up.
What do you expect?
Yep.
We got batteries to power.
So this scene though, when she walks in and is standing there, they cut and they show her hand like just tremoring slightly.
Yeah.
And I thought this was another scene where the acting was shown, where you could
Oh, she did
tell
great.
She was,
As somebody's about to die.
afraid. And then the eye, when they shot the eye, it wasn't like in what was that one with Jean-Claude Van Damme? The guys just did a couple weeks ago.
Knockoff?
It wasn't like knockoff with where it was like over the top, right?
Yeah.
But it was just they show her getting incinerated through his eye. That
Yes.
was really cool.
That was really
yeah.
cool. That was
Yeah.
good. That was well done. And I felt, but here's the thing. He's clearly showing emotion at this point in front of these
everybody.
guards.
Yeah.
When she's incinerated, walks out into the street and
Starts
is
crying
weeping
like a baby.
in the street.
Yeah.
And it's finally, I'm like, okay, fine. And he comes up and is arrested.
Yeah. Finally.
At that point, Tay Diggs is like, you're under arrest. Like,
We got
dude,
Right.
it only took him 17 public displays of crazy emotion
Yeah, way to be. way to be.
before he's, you're right on it. Johnny on the spot there.
Yep.
Tay gets pissed.
Hey, for a reason.
And so Tay Diggs drags Preston in front of Vice Consul DuPont, third consigliere of the Tetragrammatron, and is himself, which we're finally gonna let
Yes.
this cat out of the bag, but is himself very emotional.
Yes.
When he drags him in, he's yelling, he's angry.
Yes.
Right.
Well, and DuPont showed anger before as well.
Right, but in here he's very angry.
Yeah.
Yes.
And throws Preston down in front of the third consigliere of the Tetragrammatron, and is like, "We got him, sir."
Yep.
But psych, like
Gun flip.
gun. So he says, So
Yeah.
Brant says, "Sir, you'll see if you trace his gun that it was involved in killing this murder squad out
Sweeper team.
in the Nethers." Okay. And he traces it, but you don't see his screen yet. And he's like, "Is this true?" And Preston stands up and says, "Yes, sir. We've brought him to justice. It's Tay Diggs that shot the sweeper team." And he turns the
Murder
screen
Squad.
around, Murder Squad, and it's Brant's gun. And so it looks like Christian Bale flipped the script, and because of that gun swap,
Yeah.
got Tay Diggs in trouble. But as we said,
It
he
makes-
wouldn't have had Brant's gun
He
at the
wouldn't
time.
have even had Brant's gun at the time.
Well, and all right, let's just say that was plausible. Here's my favorite part.
Yeah.
How many days has it been? You're another cleric,
yeah.
and you haven't looked at the bottom of your gun to see that Preston's
and
name
it says
on the
John
bottom.
Preston on the or Jay
Oh.
Preston. Oh,
This is oops.
Pretty
And also,
obviously.
Yeah.
Of all the times that we see the bottoms of magazines, though, as well, since the gun cleat scene. like-
Yes.
okay, so they also just have cleats on every single magazine that can just activate at some whim of.
And their name.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which
This
you
is
could
the
just
only
switch
time
the clip.
with
I don't know.
all the times that we've seen the magazines on the bottom of the gun. It's just like, oh, this magazine says John Preston. Like,
Yeah.
what?
I don't remember seeing names any of the other times we saw
this,
the grips.
This part's absolutely stupid.
Yeah, it's super dumb.
Absolutely stupid part of the movie.
So Preston, they haul off Tay Diggs to be, arrested. So we think, and Preston's like, I will now even triple double my efforts to get to the underground if I can be granted an audience with Father. And he's like, "No, Father, don't see nobody." He's like, even the
Father, don't see nobody.
he's like, even the dude that brings in the underground. He's like,
I'm a good boy.
Right, right. And then
And
this
so-
is where you see.
but before-
anger. Oh,
well, before. Oh, sorry. In this scene still?
in this scene,
Yeah.
still
Go ahead.
is where you get to see DuPont rub his hand on a table.
You're right. your first kind of clue
Yeah.
to DuPont, the third consigliere of the Tetragrammatron.
Yeah.
Well, he gets angry before that, though.
Yeah.
When he yells at him.
This
He
is
pounds his fist.
This is the deliberate focus of you see Christian Bale's eyes dart down.
Oh, where he
And
sees
it's a
it.
close up of DuPont kind of fondling a table edge.
Right. So,
Yeah.
but before he can go get the underground, he's like, well, because he accused you of shooting this murder squad, we kind of have to search your house. Right. And he's like, of course you do. No problem, sir. Because he's trying to act like he doesn't care.
Yeah.
And he runs home like Principal Rooney in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
it's awesome.
Where he's like sprinting between the classrooms. But as soon as he gets to the door, he walks.
And he gets to the
and
door
then he
and, like,
sprints again.
And then he stops outside his door and like fixes his
my
hair.
Adjusts
the
his
hair.
jacket.
The guy's
Yep.
like, the sweeper team is already inside, sir. Excellent. Like he acts like every turn.
Excellent.
He's like, that's exactly what I want to have.
Yes.
I'm so glad you're searching my apartment.
Then he bolts into the bathroom.
Trying to
he's
get into
about
the
to have
bathroom.
Explosive diarrhea.
He's trying to get in the bathroom because as you said, he's hiding his undosed
Prosium.
in the mirror or behind the mirror
Right.
in the bathroom. And so he has to get in there before they get in there.
Yep.
Just flush it.
And
Right? Right this whole time.
he moves the mirror and it's all gone.
Oh, where did the prosium go?
Looking for this?
And Damien, the demon child, is in the bathroom and he has all his prosium.
And you find out he's a good guy.
Yeah, you think for a second like, oh, he's hosed,
Yeah,
right?
he's done. What are
But-
you looking for, Father?
Yeah, but no, he hasn't. Well, this is actually, I thought from a dialogue standpoint, this was great.
Yes.
Is he says, how long?
Yes.
Like he doesn't even.
Since
yes.
mother.
Yeah, since, and he goes, since mother. So doesn't even really specify what he's asking, but everybody knows what he's asking.
Yes.
Like, how long have you not been dosing?
Well,
Right.
once again, there's that. This is a very brief moment that's scenes before this when his son wakes up and they have that little brief exchange of something.
Yeah.
And then the son rolls back over and says, "Good night, Dad."
Right.
And it's like since
Yeah, it's like he's-
this whole
Not
time,
John.
the whole,
Yeah.
he's always like, "What are you doing, John?"
Right.
John.
So he
John
let it
this.
slip a little bit.
So the kid lets it slip when he says, "Good night, Dad."
Earlier.
And now that was also another little tip-off moment.
Which, if you notice, too, kind of point to what you said earlier. The kids had blankets.
Right.
Yes.
So I feel that Preston slept without blankets because of his nightmares.
Yeah.
I think
maybe.
there was
Yeah.
a deeper seated meaning there, but that was just me.
This is
I think what we find out is that there's lots of people
Yes.
that have been able to not dose and yet still pretend like
Right.
They're
they are.
dosing. yeah.
right. And that's the thing about as you go through the movie, you kind of just find out that most of the main characters just aren't even on prosium.
Right. But they're still maintaining the illusion that they
Yes,
are.
but they're
Yeah.
maintaining the illusion.
Right. And so he then, after getting out of that jam, says, all right, I'm going to use the resistance as bait to get an audience with Father. This is the assassination attempt. So
Right.
the resistance willingly gives themselves up. He's
Yes.
like, I found the underground, and the sweeper team comes in and
Murder squad.
and takes all of them away. Okay. Right. And,
Absolutely. Yes.
and this is now, and we cut, and it's a really fast transition. We immediately cut to him like
Yeah.
in fancy dress.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's going to see Father like
He looks like Storm Shadow from
Yeah.
G.I.
It's
Joe.
like he's in his class A cleric uniform.
exactly with his samurai sword.
Honorable katana next to him. And
Right.
Yeah.
And they march him in and they're giving him all these rules. Don't look him in the eye. If you breach his, area of
Nether.
his nether
If
area,
you reach his nether region.
then you will be taken out by snipers. And they're giving him all this stuff, right? And he goes,
Sure.
but first we have to test you
yes.
to see if you're feeling.
and the Scooby Doo moment. Yeah.
He's like, oh crap. But of course he plays out like, of course you must test me.
I have testing anxiety.
Test taking.
And they bring him into this room and they say, you got to give up your gun and all that stuff. And
So here's my sword.
so here's my sword. And that's
No gun.
No
Just here's my sword.
Yeah.
and sits down and gets polygraphed, which is the second time he got polygraphed because earlier the underground polygraphed him to make sure he was actually feeling.
Right.
And they don't, the first question they reveal it, right? He says, I have a question for you, but it's more of a riddle. How do you get a weapon away from a cleric? And then out of nowhere, Tay Diggs leans into the shot and says, you ask him for it.
You
That's
ask him
right.
for it.
And you're like, oh no! This all was a
been hosed.
this all was
Could this
a
been avoided?
because Tay Diggs was supposedly arrested, but he wasn't. This was all a
And I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
that's right.
For you meddling Diggs.
It's all a setup, right?
Yeah.
He's not going to see Father.
No.
He's been set up, and now they've captured the underground. And the whole this doesn't make any sense. The whole thing is like, we knew you were somebody with the capacity to feel
Before
you knew, and so we knew you were going to do all this, and now we captured the underground, and this was our plan all along. Ha 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 ha.
Yes.
And I'm like, how on earth?
Yeah, that makes
How
confusing.
on earth?
It makes perfect sense.
Because I knew that you knew that we knew that I knew that you were.
We
Yes.
knew you were going to accidentally
Really?
stop dosing. He accidentally stopped dosing. It wasn't like
Yeah.
a planned thing on their part.
My wife
Yeah,
and I
that
looked
part,
at
yeah.
each other and we're like,
That's what I'm
They
saying.
were just waiting.
How could they have known Preston was going to go
Someday
off the
this guy-
rails?
Someday he's going to slip.
That's right.
And we'll get him.
We've been waiting for 10 years.
it's been a long time.
Since the death of your wife, we've been waiting for you to slip up so we could use you as an instrument of infiltration against the underground.
Right, but even before that, they had already assigned Tay Diggs to him. Right?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, but Tay Diggs was kind of assigned to him, I think, as that over.
And he needs to infiltrate the sense offenders.
Maybe.
I guess.
It was basically like, hey, you're going to be this guy's subordinate, but really you're his handler.
Right.
Yes.
It just banking everything on the guy accidentally stopping dosing doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Sure. I
know.
mean, here's the thing, and we could get into it as we get to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Which we're almost there.
But,
Which is now,
Which is
but-
now.
yeah.
But, okay, so
When
DuPont,
will then be now?
Soon.
soon. We'll go back to then.
We can't.
We passed then.
When?
Just now. We're at now.
But
Okay.
when will then be now?
Will then be now.
All right. Sorry. Another movie I'd rather be watching.
All in favor?
I agree.
But essentially, what happens here is after they've done their little mustache twirling and ha ha
Yeah,
ha,
so
we've got you.
so DuPont is doing the classic bad guy laying out the entire plot of we
From a
did
TV
from
screen.
a TV screen,
Right.
blah 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 blah. We knew you were gonna do this, that, boo,
And
and
DuPont
then
his father. Do we say that?
Well, father is saying all this stuff, and then he goes,
Right.
"I've never met you. How would you know?" And he goes, "Haven't you met me?" And he morphs.
Yeah.
His face morphs, and you
Yeah.
realize that the third consigliere of the Tetragrammatron has been father. Well, father's been dead, and he was the new elected person to
right,
replace
the
him.
council had elected him to replace father.
So he acts as the voice of father, but really he is father at this point.
right. So
Right. And so this is my favorite. Now back when I first
Yes.
saw this was the moment I kept waiting for every
Yes.
time I saw it.
Yeah.
It's a perfect setup for a great line as he's now surrounded by bad guys. They're going to take him away to be incinerated. And he says, and in the end, we got you meekly, quietly, and without incident. Right.
yep.
And what does he say?
And then the polygraph cuts out and goes
Yeah.
to a dead straight line.
Not without.
And the proctor says, shit. And says, no, not without incident.
Not without incident.
Not
And then-
without incident.
and just rips he's
Gun
got
sleeves?
gun sleeves that
Yep.
shoot the guns into his
Yep.
hands, and you're like, all right, it's on.
Yep.
That part is unquestionably cool.
Yes.
Yes.
This had to be
Yes.
because those are 92 FSs, right?
Yeah.
Berettas, and they're
Very
modified.
modified.
They're very modified.
Very modified.
So they extended the barrel, they
Yes.
put on a compressor. I think the clips were extended.
Yeah.
And so your sleeves would be like a foot wide. I mean, you're walking around with Popeye arms.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone's got to
Yeah.
notice.
Yeah. Conceivably, there's issues.
You
but
got about on that. I had a 92 FS, and with all those mods on it, the way they had it for the movie, it would have been about like 8 inches by 6 inches.
Yeah.
That you're,
At least,
that
yeah.
you would have had a square.
So that's why they hire Christian Bale, because he's got yoked forearms.
sure, yeah,
Okay.
right.
You and your little weepy arms.
That's right.
Shoot out this gun.
So he gun katas everybody in the room.
Yeah.
And then it's like, now you've got your classic hallway scene, right? Where there's
Yeah.
a hallway between you and father
Yep.
Yeah.
and 900 guys.
Yes.
And he throws these two clips that are like on these balancing bulbs,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Into the middle of the
Which I
room.
thought were bombs. I didn't realize they were
Right.
clips.
No.
I thought they were going to smoke grenade.
Like these
Yeah.
are for later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you kind of forget about them.
Right. and he
is cool.
just starts mowing fools down.
Yeah.
Yes.
And at one point, his sleeves reload his gun.
Yep.
Yeah,
He goes
he
like,
tilts it at a 90-degree angle, and
Yes.
the magazine shoots out of his sleeve. And,
Yeah.
Yep.
How much stuff you got in there, man?
This was the real.
Nothing up my sleeve.
Ah!
Just joking.
This was the original Inspector Gadget.
Yes.
Yes.
For sure. I just wanted more stuff to shoot out of his sleeves.
Like a sword,
A sword,
a bow
Got like
staff.
a rope.
bow and arrow.
We can do it in the sequel.
He's just pulling out flags like a clown.
He pulls
At the
out-
end,
he
there's
pull-
a clip.
He pulls out another Grammaton cleric out of his sleeve.
Just a mini-me comes out. Vern Troyer comes out and just starts
Yeah.
kicking guys in the nuts.
And after he runs through his first two clips, he does this like flip and then lands and clips from the two that were on the ground.
Yeah.
Little weeble wobbles.
Little
Yes,
weeble wobbles,
the
which
weeble
was
wobbles.
really cool.
Yeah.
And people just keep
Accuracy.
people.
That
Oh, I
accuracy.
know.
Yes.
But people just keep like rappelling into the room.
Yeah, and he's just killing
like-
them all.
You think you're the dude, like the last dude that rappels in. You're up on the top, and you're just like,
I'm not doing this.
I don't think I'm gonna go
I'm
down.
not doing this, guys. Yeah. No,
I only
exactly.
took half a dose today. I'm feeling a little bit.
I'm not. It's like looking at it like, I'm not going.
I know. Maybe there was guys that didn't rappel down.
There's two guys up there
There's
just
supposed to be
rock, paper,
300.
scissors.
Yeah, right. Like,
1,
you
2,
go.
3, go.
You know what? You go first. No, you go
I
first.
just
of
thought
3.
about that when I saw the guys that rappelled in after 40 people had been shot. I was like, why, guys? What are we doing
Right,
here?
right.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
You're the one. You're the one that's going to beat him.
Look, the thing is, like, that even goes to great action movies like the
sure.
John Woo films and everything. Like, it just happens.
Right.
Guys, he just
So-
shot things out of his sleeves. I'm
Regardless-
not going down there.
Yeah.
You go down there.
Regardless of if we're watching Hard Boiled or Face Off
Right.
or Equilibrium
The
or
300th
The Matrix,
300th guy.
anything,
Yeah.
there's always the 300th guy that, yes, you're like, why are you still going in the room?
To be fair, there was like 6 guys
Yeah.
that waited until he was out of ammo, and they're like, he's done.
Right.
And he
This.
steps on the barrel,
Yep.
flips the gun over his head and
Yes.
catches it, and just
That was dope.
Pop, pop,
That
pop.
was
Dope. Totally. Yes.
So
I agree.
he walks into the room, and now all we see at first is it's like kind of an ornate room. There's pillars and there's artwork.
There's artwork
The Oval
And
Office.
all thing, yeah,
and curtains,
and curtains.
red curtains.
Monica Lewinsky.
And you're like, okay, whoever's in this,
Monica Lewinsky.
you didn't see the 2 feet sticking up from under the desk like in Johnny
Just
Dangerously.
pull in slowly.
Just pulls in. This is a room they would have incinerated on a raid. It's like
Right.
full of stuff you're not supposed to have.
Yeah.
And so this is obvious that, okay, well, father doesn't follow the rules everybody else has to follow. It's a means of control and suppression. It's not an ideal. This guy
Right.
uses it to control the people.
Right.
And he himself is free to feel.
Exactly.
Okay.
This is that big reveal of that Tay Diggs
Tay Diggs is also
does not take Prosium.
Right.
Angus McFadden does not take Prosium. This is what by the end of the movie.
Pigs
they're
are
in
sleeping
there
in the beds.
They're in there chuckling and
Right.
laughing and having a good
Right.
old time.
By the end of the movie,
Just sleeping. In the
all of the main characters
Animal
don't
fun.
take.
They take water showers,
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
right?
Water showers.
They watch TV.
You guys are using
They watch
water?
TV.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
They've got the only copy of Garfield and Friends in the
Right.
whole place.
Right. You guys use water.
Do you know what I'm saying?
They actually have toilet paper.
They have toilet paper.
We were using 3 seashells.
They're watching Babe.
Oh, they're reading Green Eggs and Ham.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
They're like, have you read this? This is incredible.
This is hilarious.
Changed my life.
It changed my life. I would have loved if they walked in there and they'd just been reading Dr. Seuss or something.
Yeah.
Oh, what's up, man?
And if they had like a chick just get up from under the desk and like
Right?
brush her hair back, like, oh, I'll see you later.
See you later.
Somebody incinerate that dress.
So,
Depends on what your definition of
so
dose is.
the door shuts and all these dudes come out from behind the pillar. So there's actually like 9 more dudes.
Oh, yeah.
He's standing
Yeah.
behind the pillars to start with, so they should
Yes.
have been in front and kind of worked their way around.
Yeah, like
Regardless.
it's just obviously just a
They don't want
film
us
reveal.
to see
A film
I get
reveal.
it.
A
Right.
film reveal, not something that's actually practical in
Right.
real life.
And they're like, ha ha ha. They're still twirling their proverbial mustaches because we have 8 dudes in here, which is like, okay, that means nothing if you just watch what happened in
Okay,
the hallway.
he
Right.
literally just killed. I counted.
Okay.
You counted the hallway body count?
Yeah, I didn't do the rappel guys, but just the initial.
Yeah.
He killed 34 guys.
Nice.
34
Up to this
guys.
point.
Nice.
From the polygraph.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yes.
And these 9 dudes get wasted in about as
2 seconds.
much, in about as much time as it took him to walk in the door.
You want to know a little fun fact?
Yeah.
John Preston is actually in 3rd place for
kill
highest
count.
singular body count in a film.
Really?
Yep,
Yes.
he killed half the people in the movie that
Yes.
he killed in this movie.
John Preston has
Wow.
113 confirmed kills in this movie,
Wow.
which outshadows any Rambo film, which outshadows John Matrix in Commando. Wow. Which, that was a fact that I was like, no way.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And then I was like,
Man,
okay, all right.
Guys killed more
People-
guys than Jason and Freddy.
Yeah, people doing homework on this show finally.
I'm saying.
So why does the one guy, before he does the sword fight,
yeah.
reverse grips again, which I know you love,
I hate it. Hate it.
why does the guard standing right in front of him just go, he just like growls at him. It's like, bro.
Intimidation. He's like, this is what these guys didn't try in the hallway. I'm going to try and scare him.
We're going to show him that we're all.
You guys want to see something?
It's not working.
I got him.
I got him on this one.
He kills all the guys, and immediately the smiles like fall a little bit, but not totally from
Yeah.
the faces of
DuPont's face just kind of like falls. I
falls.
loved that.
Tay Diggs is like, try not to mess up the suit, man, and he pulls out a samurai sword.
And he's kind of fronting. Like you can tell he's a
Yeah.
little bit nervous, but he's like, I got this.
Right. And then has a 3-second fight.
Three cuts.
It's literally over
Yeah.
like
1,
that.
2, 3.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, they had that intense sparring session. This is going to be like a close fight. But Preston kills Tay Diggs in 3 seconds.
Yes. Cuts
3
his
cuts.
face off.
Literally
His guns off, and then his face just
slides off.
Literally
From face off.
cuts his face off.
Right.
Yes.
Which
with the side reveal.
which apparently was only because Tay Diggs couldn't be there.
Yeah. Scheduling. No. Yep.
scheduling
that was
conflicts.
scheduling
Right.
conflicts. Called an audible. Threw a Hail Mary, and they were like, "Well, all right, let's just do this real quick."
Which is why you don't really see his face
Yes.
in the fight either.
I gotta be at my kid's soccer game that day. It's not gonna
Right.
work.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it was kind of like almost like a hey, we're just gonna do this at the last second. It's
Just
like
kill him quick.
I'm not gonna lie.
Which I
I love
loved
that
it.
aspect
Yeah.
to it.
but I wish he had actually thought of it and not had just been like a burden of necessity.
right.
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 But
Because it kind of, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's like at this point we've already seen them spar.
right.
We've seen Preston mow down, 30, 40, 50 guys.
Right.
Do we really need this long drawn out sword fight?
No, you don't.
To then also now go into this long drawn out gun kata battle with
Let's talk about the gun kata battle with
Yes.
Angus McFadden, who now
Yes.
gets up and is clearly a practitioner of the ancient art of gun kata.
I'll bet he invented it.
Maybe he did invent it.
He's the original.
And it's literally them like patty caking,
I was gonna
slap
say
fighting.
I've had slap fights like that better than with my brother.
And it's literally just them like, you can't shoot me.
No, you- no, you.
can't
No,
shoot
you.
me.
Come on. It was
Gosh,
cool.
gosh, 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 gosh.
Quit hitting yourself.
Quit hitting yourself. Quit hitting yourself.
No, you shoot me. No,
The
I shoot you.
biggest
No, I
slap
insist.
fight in the end of a movie I don't know I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And ultimately, surprise, surprise, Preston defeats him.
Preston gets the upper hand.
Whoa. I feel
I feel
you
I
just
feel-
killed 163 people, but you don't want to kill me because I'm a person. They weren't.
Right. And then,
I'm important.
It's just because it's just the setup for the line, It's
Right.
like, whoa. I mean, this is really the price you want to pay? And then
says
I
like-
pay it gladly.
which is
Yeah.
saying what
parallels what Partridge.
I love
Partridge
that
had
he
said,
turns and walks out. My immediate question was, who's going to clean all that up?
I don't know, the sweeper team. They literally called sweeper teams. They come in and
Guy just
sweep.
with sweepers, actual
I'm saying.
sweepers.
This is the real sweeper team. The other sweeper team's dead. Now we got to bring
And
in
here's the
the
thing.
sweeper team.
They put a bow on this thing way too easily. It was a very convenient ending. Like,
Yeah.
we've already have bombs placed in every place that they need to be
We
placed.
already have bombs
No
placed
one
in
found
every
them yet.
Prosium factory in the city.
So
And
blow
we're
them
just-
up.
We're just waiting for the call that father is dead.
And the second he's dead, everything's blown up, and society is restored immediately. The rebels run in immediately.
Yep.
And
Yep.
again, now that the plot needs the other guys to suck at fighting, they all just get mowed down immediately.
Right, and now the guys with the motorcycle helmets and assault rifles are just running down staircases, getting mowed down,
just like the
it's-
other ones used to.
Right.
And so
Right.
you're like, okay, I get they got to wrap it all up with a bow, but it was a little bit too neat and clean for
I was
me.
going to say, if
That's-
there's people actually taking Prosium, I'd imagine there's got to be like half the population at least or more going,
Eh.
Like, they don't care. Well, I guess they said that like if we interrupt for at least a day, then
Yeah.
it's over, right?
And human nature will
Yeah.
do the rest. Yeah.
All right, so that's
And then
Equilibrium.
Preston, and then Preston
there's more.
smiles.
He does smile.
And then Preston smirks. And there's that really classic, match little zoom in on his eyes as everything's exploding,
is
just
true.
to literally just rip off Blade Runner. But
All right.
and that's the end of the movie.
That's the end of the movie.
Written and directed by
Kurt
Kurt
Wimmer.
Wimmer.
We are going to move
I'm sorry,
on.
what happened?
No, Kurt Wimmer, not you, the other Kurt.
Got it.
All right, it's time to give this movie some awards, as we always do. We start with the Will Patton Award for Intensity. This is not an acting award so much as it is the person that acted with the most intensity. And so we'll start with you, Ryan Farrell, and we'll go around. Who do you got?
I'm going to give it to Sean Bean.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, more of just because Will Patton brings his A game.
Yeah,
Everything Will Patton does brings his A game.
sure.
And
Sean was there.
Sean was there. Like,
Yeah.
once again, you could have just had Will Patton. I mean, we're not going to replace Sean Bean.
No.
But if there was someone to replace Sean Bean, maybe Will Patton.
I think he could have crushed that scene, too,
Will
for
Patton
sure.
could have crushed those two scenes.
What do you got?
Okay, I definitely see your point on that. I did put down Christian Bale. I know he's the lead.
No, but he was very intense in
yeah,
this movie.
Right.
He was just there.
The nature of this movie makes it so that you can almost pick anyone
Yeah.
because it's so serious.
There's
So,
one person I wouldn't pick, but yeah,
Okay, but
we'll
yeah.
get to him
Okay.
or her.
ooh.
Who do you have?
I also went with Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. Okay, I almost went with Christian Bale, but I ultimately went with Angus McFadden.
That's fair.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's fair.
Just thought super hyper intense until the very end when he was like,
I mean, like you said, though, really, you could have just had Will Patton cloned 5 times, and he could have just played every character in the movie.
He would have been really good
yeah.
as Jurgen.
Will Patton could have played
Because
Jurgen.
that
for sure.
part where he's discussing and he's saying human nature will
Yeah.
take it. I was kind of
Yeah.
That would have been good for him.
Yeah.
All right, the next award we give out is the Michael Dudikoff Trash Can Full of Dirt Award, which is the award we give out to the worst actor in the movie,
the duty award.
the Duty Award,
The duty.
whose acting was most like a trash can full of dirt.
That's a tough one. You might want to circle back.
I'll circle back. Here's what I'll say. And I'll start then. The lady that played Preston's wife in the incinerator video,
Different
Right.
actress.
which is a
Different
different
actress.
actress than the one that played her in the flashback.
Yes.
And they had to use a different actress because they literally couldn't find her.
Right.
They shot the scene, and then it came time to shoot the other scene, and they couldn't find her.
Hey, as an independent filmmaker, you know it happens.
I know, but that's why I'm giving the award to her, not because she did a bad job.
That's
but like,
fair, too.
answer your phone,
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Like,
Where did you
How do you
go?
just not be in the next scene because you just leave and you're gone?
I didn't know any of that, and I gave mine to her anyway.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's,
Alexa Summer.
Is that her
The
name?
one- yeah,
Okay.
she's
Alexa
the one
Summer.
that disappeared.
Yeah, that's who I give it to.
That literally happened to me on Psycho. We had to
dude.
refilm an entire scene because the actor was just like, nah.
Well, that's why it triggered me.
Right. I'm just like, what do you mean? Like, we have the scene to film. You said you were doing it. Where are you going?
Yeah.
Taco Bell.
I gotta go to Chicago for some other acting. And I'm like, okay, so
Thanks.
Yeah.
That-
Just somebody else now?
yeah, I guess I'll just refilm all your stuff.
It was somebody else.
I said I was sorry for that.
Yeah.
Don't you know the new cheesy
who's-
gordita crunches out?
Who's your trash can full of dirt?
So I understand your point, and I think you're not going to like this, Ryan, but I gave it to Tay.
Tay Diggs.
Oh, that's fair.
Because-
yeah, no.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't like
I
it.
just wanted to slap him.
Yeah.
Every scene, he's like, it's like, who is this, Jimmy Fallon? Like,
Yes. You know,
Yes.
Tay Diggs was a little out of place, I think, in a
they
matter
tell
of
me
just
I'm kind of like you.
yeah, right. Like he doesn't exude that.
No.
Like Sean Bean. Like you're not gonna Sean Bean as Partridge.
No.
I'm not gonna mess with that dude.
So you're
Yeah.
saying
And he-
basically
when he
Tank
used-
could be replaceable.
And he's so dumb.
With
He
Jimmy
used.
Fallon.
He had to use his.
With Jimmy Fallon?
yeah.
He had to use his catchphrase twice because he used it too early. He's like, "I told you I'd make my career off you, Preston," and then they hosed him,
again.
and he's like, "Crap, I used it too
He's the
early." And then he
annoying
comes
kid.
back and he does it. He does it again. I told you I'd make my career. I'm like, bro, you already used that one. You got to think of a new one,
He's
man.
me
Yeah.
when I was
Yeah.
little. Like, he's the annoying kid that says his joke twice because he thinks he didn't hear when really it just wasn't funny.
That's what I'm saying.
There's a lot of people
All right,
like that.
we got to move on. Did everybody give their trash can?
Yes.
trash can.
What was
Who's yours,
yours?
Kurt?
You never said.
I just agree
went
with
with
Alexa Summer.
with
Alexa
the
Summer.
wife,
I
too.
think,
Okay.
Okay.
yeah.
All right, Alexa Summer is the winner of the Michael Dudikoff
It's a
Trash
tough
Can
one.
Full
You'll
of
be
Dirt
getting
Award.
your duty in the mail.
All right, so who are your top three? This is just subjective. Who your favorite was, not who was the best, but who are your top three?
My
favorite?
top number one was the kid. the
Okay,
son,
Damien.
interesting.
because I felt like like I just felt some angst there, and
sure.
I really thought he was going to screw him over. So I love the whole reveal where he ended up being a good guy.
Yeah.
and I was like, cool.
He was unnerving.
Yeah,
For sure.
Oh, yeah, and he smirks at the end, too. He's sitting in school, and he
Right,
smirks
when he
as
hears
the
the
explosions
bombs
are
go
going
off.
off. Yeah.
I enjoyed also Christian Bale in this movie.
Okay.
Yes.
I haven't seen a whole lot of movies other than Batman with him in it.
Yeah.
So it was a nice change of pace. And then I went with the Partridge.
Oh, yeah, Sean Bean.
Sean Bean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Can't go wrong there. How about for you, sir?
Okay, I kind of went back and forth. The top two are locked in.
Okay.
So Christian Bale and Angus McFadden.
Okay.
I was between Sean Bean and Emily Watson, and I don't really want to give it to Emily. The only thing that I wanted to give it to her for was the physical acting she did.
Yeah,
But
she was great.
overall performance, and part of it might have been her lines. I didn't really buy some of her
Yeah.
yeah.
the voiced
Yeah.
parts. So I think it does have to go to Sean Bean.
Part of me was like, is she super hot or just the only woman in this movie?
That's okay. That's what I'm saying. Like, why are these guys like, whoa, it's a girl?
What's up, girl?
Like, he had a
Right,
wife and
right.
kids. Like,
I
how
know.
did they get there?
Yeah, don't start
go
going
to
down
a
that
lab.
rabbit hole.
You go to
Or
a lab.
lab.
Who's your top three?
Number 3,
That'd be
Angus.
a labbit hole. Sorry.
Yeah. Number 3, Angus McFadden. Really knocked it out as DuPont.
Yeah.
Classic bad guy role for what it's worth. Number 2, Sean Bean, because Sean Bean.
He's Sean Bean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And number 1, Christian Bale. He owned John Preston. This more so to me, it's like you see him in American Psycho, you see him in this, you see him in Batman, and those are like that's his breakthrough. Batman
Right.
Begins, right?
Right.
It's like he had American Psycho, Equilibrium, and Batman Begins.
Right.
And the diversity of those 3 roles, he brings it to Equilibrium.
Oh,
He
for sure.
owns John Preston. And
No, he was all in.
yeah. And I like how Wimmer specifically sought him out. And they claim that no one else even auditioned for John Preston. That it was nope, it's Christian Bale or we're not doing it.
We almost had the same top three. So I had Angus McFadden at number 3 too. Thought he did a great job. But I had Christian Bale at number 2. Loved his performance.
Yep.
But man, that just the 2 scenes that Sean Bean was in, the level of acting, and just the emotion and the gravitas and all that.
Yeah.
He was my favorite moment. That was my favorite scene. So therefore, that's my favorite performance.
Makes sense.
But yeah, real close to being the same. So it comes down to this, guys. We've got to ultimately answer the question because the critics said, okay, this movie sucks. It's a bad movie. The people at home, for the most part, 80% of them said, no, this is good. We like this. We want it. We want more of it.
Yeah.
Who's right? What do you guys say? Is it actually, now that we've gone through it, do you think it's a straight up good movie? Is it a bad movie objectively, but you like it? So is it a bad movie that rules? Or is it just a straight up bad movie? What do you think?
A bad movie that rules.
Nice.
But like almost on the cusp of being a good movie.
Yeah.
It needed more.
Yeah.
And I just felt like it was so close.
I agree with you. I'm gonna say borderline straight up good movie, but there's just some of the again, as I said before, it struggles to follow its own internal logic in too many ways, and especially the big twist that doesn't work. I have to back off of it saying it's a straight up good movie, but I think it's a bad movie that absolutely rules. And there's my wife. Her comment was, I didn't like it, but there were definitely some points in the movie that were really badass. And I'm like, for sure,
Absolutely.
for sure. Unquestionably cool moments, but I just can't say it's just a straight up good movie.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, I really like this movie, and my wife really liked it. This is her first time watching it. I want to say it's a good movie. I didn't catch, and this is on me, but I didn't catch the gun swap being after, and so that sucks because I feel like
It really ruins
the DuPont piece, piece of like, haha, we knew all along. That I was like willing to kind of overlook.
Sure.
I think that gun swap piece, it's right there, like in your face.
Right.
That I feel like it's right on the edge there
Right.
of good and bad movie that rules.
Right.
I think I want to say it's a good movie, but
Okay. You can.
So
I mean, that's
I'm
your.
gonna say
all right,
that.
that's fine.
So, but
Yeah.
I'm willing to accept your guys's.
Sure. What do you think, Ryan Farrell?
It's a great movie.
Full stop.
Full stop. Great movie. It's
Okay.
on my top 10 list of 2002.
Oh wow. All right.
And even in the rewatch of it, like it was on my top 10 list of 2002 because I was just like, oh, the gun kata is really cool. And oh, yeah, it's really entertaining. And okay, yeah,
Sure.
really heady sci-fi stuff. I like it. But now watching it again, like I said, the deliberateness of Wimmer's direction in the moments of Christian Bale. And
Yeah.
like, okay, it's a great movie with problems. I will totally admit the problems of the B-roll, of the background actors that are just, let's just run this way and get shot. And, okay, yes, stupid. The gun swap thing, stupid.
Yeah.
Absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
Wimmer, as a screenwriter, sure, he probably bit off more than he could chew.
Yeah.
The homages and the things that the critics really hated on him for was like, oh, it's just a reheated mishmash of George Orwell's 84 and Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. It's funny to me that no one mentioned Philip K. Dick because the twist of the movie with DuPont being like, oh yeah, we were using you this entire time. It's the twist of A Scanner Darkly,
Yeah.
which was written by Philip K. Dick.
Right.
Which then there's also the match cut of the eyeball of the explosion, which is a reference to Blade Runner, which is also based on the Philip K. Dick short story, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? And then came out the same year as Minority Report, which is also a Philip K. Dick movie. Right?
Yes.
Equilibrium
Sure. I
is
didn't know
Philip
that.
K. Dick.
It is.
Yeah.
In more ways than it's George Orwell.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So
okay.
the fact that the critics were just like, mismatched George Orwell. It's like, you're talking about Franz Kafka and Orwell and all this other stuff. It's Philip K. Dick with Wimmer being like, hey, guys, I invented this thing in my backyard. And I was also just reading this book called A Scanner Darkly.
Yes.
So
That's what happens.
maybe I'll just put them together. And
But why? Okay, here's my question then with Wimmer then. But given all that,
Yes.
why didn't he put Arnold Schwarzenegger in this movie? Because I'm sitting here watching going, how is Arnold not in this movie?
because Wimmer was like, you know what? John Preston is going to outkill John Matrix.
Because here's the thing. Who better to not show emotion in a
From
movie
Commando.
than
Than
Arnold
Arnold
Schwarzenegger?
Schwarzenegger.
Right.
You hire the guy who excels at not showing emotion in a movie.
Yes.
Right? It seemed like tailor-made for Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Like Schwarzenegger, by all probability, should have been John Preston.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You could literally have Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movie reading Pride and Prejudice, and it would make this movie better.
Well, I was gonna say if you swapped out, not that I would want to swap Sean Bean, but if you
Right.
swapped him out with Arnold and they gave him,
Cat in a Hat to read.
well, it was like he finds like some like
One
junior
fish,
hires.
two fish,
Red
red
fish,
fish, blue fish.
He finds
I
some
pay it
junior
gladly.
hires diss track, and he's like, "You're rubber and I'm glue. Whatever you say to me bounces off and sticks to you." And he thinks it's
been
like
awesome.
profound, and then he just shoots him.
awesome.
Yeah, see, that's my only thing. It's like, man, maybe if it was 10 years earlier, it would have been. I mean, because Schwarzenegger did a Philip K. Dick movie, Total Recall.
Total Recall.
Right?
Yeah. Yep,
I mean,
yep.
sci-fi, he'd done this kind of stuff before.
Yep.
I think it would have been awesome.
And Running Man with dystopian.
Oh, that's true. That was Stephen King, but yeah, same
Stephen
thing.
King. But,
Didn't Wimmer do something with the new Total Recall? Wasn't he a
and Wimmer,
co-writer?
yes. And Kurt Wimmer wrote the screenplay for the remake of Total Recall.
Which is another reason why he shouldn't be loud near movies anymore.
Yeah. You know, he just remade Children of the Corn as well.
Did he?
Yeah. It didn't do anything.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
He peaked early. He peaked early.
He peaked with Equilibrium. Seriously, peaked with Equilibrium.
All right.
To me, Equilibrium is like that labor of love that the one filmmaker gets, that absolute labor of love. And Equilibrium is Wimmer's
Yes.
Ultraviolet. Ultraviolet is a terrible movie.
Oh, we're going to talk about it at some point. It'll
I
be
don't
on the
even
show.
want to.
No,
'cause
but
it's not-
it's worth talking about.
Ultraviolet's a bad movie, full stop. Whereas
Yes, but-
Equilibrium is a great movie with some problems. Yes.
But my girl's in it, though.
Yeah.
Mila
Mila.
Jovovich.
Mila.
Yes.
Mila's in it. Yeah.
All right, so that's Equilibrium. We thank you everybody for coming and talking about this movie. Next week, we have Robo Jocks.
Ooh.
There's giant robots piloted by jocks. I'm guessing. I don't know. I've never seen it.
Like jockeys?
Or Roblox?
Robo Jocks. It's ROBOJOX.
So there's like jockeys on like the backs
It's like
of
these
robots?
guys that like drive and pilot these big Gundam.
Oh, wait. Roblox is that game that the kids are playing these days.
Isn't that the movie with Hugh Jackman?
I don't know.
I think that's Minecraft.
It looks terrible, but Joe loves it. So we'll see next week if it's any good. Go if you haven't seen it yet. Go look at the trailer at least on YouTube for Robo Jocks.
When did it come out? Do you know?
I don't know.
90s,
It looks like the 80s, 90s, just from the visual.
Then you can watch the trailer. Anything else after 2000, they're like, we're going to tell you the whole story.
No. Yeah, go back, watch the trailer. But in the meantime, we just appreciate that you guys were here. And, if you want to stay for the after party, which we're going to record here in a second, you got to be a member of our Patreon. So if you're not already and you're all the way through this episode, come on, you're one of the diehards. We'd love to see you on there. But even if you don't, we're happy that you're here listening. On behalf of Kurt Mummer and Ryan Madela and Ryan Farrell, I'm James Hauser. Thank you for listening.
So to sum it up, this is a really weird way to tell a story about rescuing a dog.
Wait, it is John Wick.
Oh, yeah. We'll do that later. John Wick versus John Preston. Easily John Preston.